Hello, and welcome to Read and React, hosted by Fable Table. I'm your host, Nick Bowen, and joining me is the lovely Shannon. How are you?
Hello.
Oh.
I'm good. Hello. I don't know. I always peak whenever I do my normal voice. So I'm trying to like pitch my voice lower. Doing
Yes.
good. How are you
Let's
doing,
let's
friend?
do the show like this.
This makes the most sense.
Do you think Jeff Hayes, like his Carl voice, he's like dropping register and doing a
Oh
very
yeah.
like deep voice. Do you think like
He's
how
Patrick
how
Warburton.
How? No, he's not, because that's a separate voice in the audiobooks. I know this.
Will be, but
Also,
he's Patrick Warburton light, like light
true,
mayonnaise. That's who
true.
he is. And I love
Uh,
it.
so we're continuing our read of Dungeon Crawler Carl. We're on book 5, part 4, The Butchering. Just in this last week, there was an official announcement from Peacock that they have ordered a Dungeon Crawler Carl TV series uh from
Seth MacFarlane.
Seth. I
Hell
was like Seth, and
fucking
I
yeah,
kept
brother.
getting the wrong Seths in my brain. They better have Patrick Warburton play his father.
Oh God, I can't imagine how they wouldn't, but that's seasons away yet. That's
Yes,
seasons
yeah.
and seasons away. But like okay,
I
so
mean,
like
we've
my
we've had
do we
moments
think
where
Seth
we have
MacFarlane is gonna
had.
be the AI voice? Is Jeff Hayes gonna come back and do the
Oh
voice of the
God,
AI? Like I
I
don't know.
no, I don't
God,
think
I hope
they'll.
he does though. Like
It
it's
would be great, but I don't think they will, because they got to give someone else the opportunity to bring that character to life. That's part of the art form of film and screenplay.
yeah, but I also feel like with the rise of Dungeon Crawler Carl to like this much it's not just the writing. Although the writing is obviously fucking exceptional, I do think that Jeff Hayes had a huge part like to play in the popularity of the books because like the audiobooks are so
Yeah, right.
like
But they're not gonna like do something that's already been done though. Like this is
they
their
might
chance
not.
to make their own thing. I think Seth MacFarlane, if he is involved in the project, will play Quasar.
Oh God, I hope so.
Because I don't think
That would
he'd
be
set himself up for
amazing.
a large role, like an every episode role.
The Orville would beg to differ,
I
friend.
love the Orville. I've watched the whole
I
thing
fucking
through
love the
twice.
Orville. Absolutely.
I'm
But that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like,
I'm still
okay,
holding out hope that it comes back, but it won't.
I don't think, and don't get me wrong, I love Seth MacFarlane. He is not a Carl. I'm hoping he doesn't insert himself into the role of Carl. That would
No,
be
he's
a
too old.
mistake. He
He's too
is
old.
too old. he's not he's not like beefy enough. I mean, he's all right. But we need like a hunk of man. I need a hunk
Yes,
of man to play Carl.
and like
But no.
a 20-something-year-old hunk of man, because Carl's like 25, 26.
Yeah, something like that. No, that's too young. That's gross. They're like they anyone under the age of like 35 is just they register as a child to me. I'm like, no.
Carl is 27,
Yeah.
6'3" and 230 pounds.
In my
That's
head,
yeah.
in my head, he's about 42.
Hmm.
Because he's just
Well,
I
let me tell you,
love him.
every single graphic image except for maybe like the cover of the first book, Carl does not look like he's 230 pounds. He looks like he's fucking like 350, 2% body fat, all muscle.
Yeah. Pretty
Anyway,
good. It's
I'm
pretty good. But all I'm
excited.
saying is that I hope that there is room for collaboration with Sound Booth Theater within the Peacock,
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane, like within the show itself. I hope there is room to bring Jeff Hayes in for a collaboration, just because like I do feel like God, like why would you throw the baby out with the bathwater? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like he's so fucking fantastic and he's
He
so talented.
is.
Like
I could see them bring
collaboration
him
should
in
be
for
all.
like a minor role, like maybe one of the goblins, or
Rory
like a
or
Desperado Club
Lorelai?
character,
Hmm.
or bring him into one of the Crawl Con aliens that are asking annoying
Oh,
questions.
it's going to be, I'll be honest, it's going to be weird
Yeah,
listening to other people
it will be,
say
won't it?
these lines and portray these roles, and it's not Jeff Hayes. Like, that's going to be weird. Although I do think that they have, like, on Sound Booth Theater, like through the app or whatever, like they have like a full cast version of Dungeon Crawler Carl as well.
Yes, yeah, I've
But
heard
I
some
haven't
clips of
listened
that.
to that one. I haven't heard that one yet. Maybe I should. Maybe that'll like set me up for success for the
Yeah,
show.
yeah. That'll be good. Um, more on this exciting piece of news. I believe Peacock has ordered, they've just straight up ordered a season 1. They're not even bothering like with ordering just a pilot, and then no, they're moving right into like full production. Like they
Yeah.
believe in the project. It's very exciting. Um
Well, it's what's okay. So like one of the best things, the most insane things about this franchise, this series is that Matt Dinniman hasn't really done any like marketing for it. If that
yeah,
like it's all been word of mouth since it came out, and it's like
right.
somebody read it and then they recommended it to like their friends who might be into it, and then they recommended it to all of their friends. Like he hasn't spent any money on like pushing this book. It's just it gained popularity on its own merit. Like, and I
Right.
think they would be idiots not to just order a full
Yeah.
season, because like that's a guaranteed, and it's like built in. We're all gonna love
Yeah.
it.
Well, and it's kind of like the moment with I always feel very weird bringing up Harry Potter because I know how people feel about J.K.
Sure.
Rowling, and I like don't disagree with them. But like it is such an iconic part of everything we do. But like the first film came out in 2001, a year after the fourth book had come out. So knowing that like there's two books left ish, or like we've been told by Matt Dinniman, like they need to strike while the iron is hot. And like if they're releasing a TV show with book, that is they're only gonna help each other like cross market.
Mhm.
um it's yeah.
I can't wait. Can't fucking wait. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, very exciting news. I cannot wait.
Hmm. Yeah. We could spend a whole episode talking about like who would we cast as this or that,
Oh,
and
the Dream fan cast. Oh my god. Yeah.
there's so many videos I see on like Instagram of people saying who their face casts or like recasting of. Half the time it's like I'm just recasting everyone as Jeff Hayes again, which is very funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Who would you?
Um,
Oh God, I gotta know. Who would you fan cast as like Elle?
hmm, Hang on, I have the actress. Um,
Okay, because there's
it's
old Elle and then there's young Elle, and I can tell you who I think would be perfect for like the
young
younger.
Elle.
Yeah, as
Like,
in like her inner Frost Maiden body.
oh, okay. Hang on. There's an actress that was in. Oh my god, I'm forgetting what it was called now. Um, Hang on one sec. What is this show called? Raising Hope. Did you ever see the show Raising Hope?
Yeah,
So, their
the Mima,
cast.
Cloris
So
Leachman,
I could see it as either the Mima or the mother.
Martha Plimpton.
Yes, I could see Martha Plimpton like aged up for the first two
Okay,
seasons before
actually,
she,
yeah.
and then Frost Maiden her, and like you're doing a shitload of makeup anyway. But yeah, Mama Cloris Leachman would also be amazing because she is so
Oh,
sassy.
she passed away not too
Oh,
long
did
ago,
she?
so
Oh, yeah.
she
Oh,
is
she did.
not.
Yeah, 2021. That's too bad. Yeah, she's amazing as well. Um, I mean, if she also hadn't passed away, Um, it would have been great to have Catherine O'Hara.
Fuck, she would have been amazing. Okay, here's mine. So I'm gonna ask you to look up an actress, and I think that she would be perfect
Mm-hmm.
for older Elle.
Okay.
And it's Connie Tucker. I think, or is that her name on the show? So like June
Oh, as the
Squibb.
Big Bang Theory grandma.
Yeah, June Squibb is her name. And if you look her up,
Oh
like,
yeah,
tell me that isn't her. So, and then who
that
would
would be
play
great. That
a
would be so
young,
great.
a younger or like revitalized Elle? They don't look anything alike, but I still think that she would be fucking
See,
fantastic. Is Natasha Lyonne.
Natasha
Because I can
Lyonne.
just picture her leaning over a bar and saying, "Whose dick do I gotta suck to get
Oh
a dick
my God,
from
Natasha
here?"
Lyonne would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah.
That's
Uh,
all I can think. Just like give her like, make her all frosted out and give her like white hair and like, oh my God, she would be amazing.
I mean, you want to know who's close enough to Seth MacFarlane that they probably will get to do it?
Who?
Sarah Silverman.
Oh my God, do you think so?
maybe, maybe because she's got
Oh
a
my God.
sassy attitude for it.
Oh,
And they did
absolutely.
a million ways to die in the West together, and probably
True.
a couple other projects that I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh my
I love
God.
that movie, by the way. A Million
A
Ways to
million
Die in
ways
the
to
West with Liam
and he gets the
Neeson. Yeah,
yeah, the picture of the guy smiling. They're like, "What crazy son of a bitch? You got it. You found it." That movie is ridiculous.
that movie has the greatest like um subverts your expectations with their final like showdown. Except Liam Neeson's already dead. The Venom got him. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay,
We yeah.
let's get
we
back
did,
on
I
back on
did
track.
I believe last week I mentioned that this section would probably go faster because there's just less meat and potatoes to talk about. And that's probably true, which is why I was fine with, 20 minutes of Dungeon Crawler
Gavin,
Carl, the TV show. Oh, okay.
Gavigoon.
I had one other thought. I'll share this and then we'll move on. Uh, Whoever they cast, particularly as Elle, they need to make sure, or they'll probably be cautious with casting someone younger because the show's going to go on for, like 9, 10 seasons.
I mean, it would have to if we
So
adhere to,
yeah, yeah,
a book per each season, which means we'll see multiple floors on some books.
possibly,
So
possibly, yeah. Who knows how they're going to format it, but
I
that would
hope
make the
whenever
most
they
sense.
decide to you know, I hope that they do some filming in like Oregon and Washington, since
Oh,
that's like where like for some scenes.
yes,
Um,
yeah, they
if we have
probably will.
flashbacks, if we have
Although
like
I kind of expect a lot of the entire series will just be green screened. Um,
that's yeah,
because of
yes.
the nature of I mean, there could be some floors that could get away, like the urban floors that could get away with like finding some locations, but for the first two floors and then the Iron Tangle, like you're not gonna do that at an actual like they might construct a subway set for various stations or train cars, but
Oh
anyway,
God, how are they
yeah,
going to do the Iron Tangle? How do you make that into a show?
great question, great question. Okay,
Okay,
so the butchering, part 4 of the Butcher's Masquerade. um I don't necessarily have as much to say about this entire section. There are some really so most of what this section is, at least from my perspective, is there is just a ton of action, which is just really fun. It's kind of complicated and it is structured in a really sometimes frustrating, but albeit well structured way. And what I mean by that is Matt Dinniman likes to do this thing where he doesn't tell us everything that's going on through Carl's head, i.e., like what the plan is sometimes, because he wants to do some like great reveal. But I think it really does work for this whole section because everything that's going on is really complicated. There's a lot of strategy and tactics involved with what they're doing in a lot of facets. And Matt Dinniman does a good job of just like first starting with what is the layout and structure of the masquerade itself? What is our like basic structure of what are our goals for getting through this? And how are we approaching some of these things? And then like it's just scaffolded really well. And it can be frustrating to feel like I don't know what's going on and I don't know why you're telling me this, but not everything. But it's like if he can't dump everything all at once, it would just be too much.
So, okay, so like one of the things that, and I agree with you, he's fantastic at that, at like revealing what needs to be revealed when it needs to be revealed. But with the exception, I think, of this block of chapters, like specifically like towards the middle, right? Because like we're getting a lot of like heavy layout. They're using the what was it, the writer's kit in the bathroom. Everybody's reading the plan, signing off on it. They're like, check out our bathroom, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, whatever. Yes, it's obvious, but that's like the one place like where they can have a plan like that written. And I think the reason why Matt Dinniman wrote all of this, like the layout for the plan specifically, is because none of it worked.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing is we have to get what is the layout and then what is the plan and then what is the written on the cookbook or the coffee shop author kit secret plan so that by the time we get to the masquerade and everything is going off the rails, we know how it's going off the rails because we already have been set up to what it should have happened. And we know what should have happened based on what was our initial understanding of what would be going on at the masquerade. So the scaffolding makes sense in hindsight, but it can be a little challenging at the start of these chapters because there's so much going on. Like for example, our first chapter is a 15-day flashback from the start of the floor when Carl's meeting with Quasar, and they're talking about one of the spells that they got for Bomo in exchange for the Gate of the Feral Gods, which is a part of the plan with the masquerade. And so we have to take it in these like bite-sized chunks, and it's like, okay, why are we talking about this spell? I don't care. I want to know what's going on with this masquerade. Well, we needed to know this anyway. So most of this entire whole back part of the book 5 is action, actor setup of the plan. But weaved in there are a few like really heavy and even dark moments for some of the characters, which land really well and are very earned because of how chaotic things are going on and all the work that we've done for those characters leading up to this point. I really like this part. It just all moves really heavy and fast.
It is especially like so. It does all move heavy and fast. Like I think of the crocodilian Florin, like the fact. Okay, so like one of the things for like the setup of this was that I think we knew this from the previous like few chapters. We see Ferdinand, who was Donut's like paramour in the real world. He got the kitty cat upgrade, and now he is like Donut, and he's very powerful, and he's an NPC also. And the plan obviously was for B and Ferdinand to be this country boss.
Queen Imogen, leader of the elves, was going to be a loved one, and I think we're targeting Carl's loved ones because he's the number one crawler at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah. But because B was taken out of play in part by Audette, like because they were hunting her, and she's now like the first new member of like the syndicate or whatever. Like she's the newest acquisition. So like blood for the blood god and bone for the bone dog.
Yes, Temur's
Temur.
redeemed a bone tree here. Come here,
Right.
Noah.
But yeah, like I think it's especially devastating because like I can't and like Carl keeps like reiterating he's like this was supposed to be B. This was
Right.
supposed to be B, and like I'm just so it sucks that it's happening to Florin. I'm so thankful that it's not that it wasn't B, because like how devastating, because like I think it would have been doubly horrible for Donut because
Mm-hmm.
like B was her person. And like obviously she was meant to be Carl's foil, just like Ferdinand is her foil. So
Yeah.
like how could she ever have forgiven Carl if Carl actually did have to kill B? Like what a anyway, so
That'd be
because
yeah.
B was taken out of commission, what we learned about from the Iron Tangle, like at the previous floor, like whenever like when uh Lucia Marr had like this rubber spell. So Lauren shot Lucia Marr. It
It
bounced back
bounced and hit. It,
and it hit Ifechi, this
yeah.
woman who was also a crawler, who was like in the top 10, and it killed
Yeah.
her, but she had a twin sister. So now it's Ifechi, or her twin, right? It's the woman that he was in love with, her face, who
Right.
like she's Queen Imogen, and it's like they had a discussion beforehand. Like they Carl was like, "Hey, they're probably going to use someone from our lives. They're going to use them against us." And they discussed whoever it is. They go down the stairs, and he's like, "Florin, we talked about this. You know who it is. You have to go down the stairs." And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Hey, go fuck yourself, Carl." So like it starts going wrong, like even before
Yeah.
they get inside the ship.
Right.
It starts to go wrong immediately. And I
Yeah.
love it
Well,
because like
let's
chaos is his, like that's his clay,
yeah,
you
we've been
know?
talking about, I think last episode we talked a lot about chaos being Carl's element and
Yes.
like revisiting Eris, the god of chaos, and
Yes,
chaos
sir.
becoming a huge theme in the book and maybe even tied to Carl's river, like who knows. But chaos does come up here at least one point where I am like it really piqued my interest the way they brought it up specifically. Um so yeah, let's um if you're fine with me going through like recaps of each of the chapters and strolling through it all that way,
For sure.
I have my notes here. So we are doing chapters 56 through the end of the book, which is effectively 77 and then the epilogue. So there was a lot going on in the previous book, or our previous episode rather, and a lot of elements happening. And so I'll just bring them up as they become important. I'm not going to recap them all. But we cut back to Carl meeting Quasar. They're talking about the Zerzura spell. We had previously gotten just the start of this conversation and then cut away. And Quasar talks about how this is like going to be something that they will happily give you because it is an absolutely chaotic spell. They want Bomo or the sledge to get this spell in order to fulfill Carl's promise to Juicebox to get all the changelings to the ninth floor. And what this spell does is it takes a entire city and relocates it to
Yep.
a subsequent floor. There are some elements about how long it takes to cast, which is 5 minutes. It is chaotic because you cannot target the specific location on the floor. You just deem what floor you're sending it to. And it's a random placement. It usually lands somewhere that creates carnage. Anytime I hear anything talk about randomness with a spell or an effect, I just assume it's the AI that decides it, and it's going to go
Yep.
for chaos and for the views. Like, I don't think random is in fact random. I think it is decided by the AI.
Absolutely. And as we previously discussed, the AI is a recycled AI, which is why
Right.
it is going primal, off the rails, aka insane, uh, much earlier in the game. You know, and that's something. Did we make that? distinction? Do we make that connection? Because essentially, like the
Yes.
AI and Carl are like the same race. Is that fair to say?
Um, so we don't know much about the primals themselves, but we know that they developed all of this, like the primal engine, which is a little seed that forms a planet around it and has a basic operating system, and then you can load an AI into it.
Right.
Like, we don't know if the primals themselves became AI, or like what happened to them. We knew that there was a war, and we know that from the second or third book, maybe even the first, that when they find a primal AI, no, it was something like an AI will that takes on the form of a being from that area, takes on the shape of whoever like
Whoever
finds it.
discovers it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because nobody remembers what what the primals look like.
Right.
They're like the boogeymen. So,
Yeah,
like, I guess
it's something
in
very
my mind,
strange, but
I think they share
yeah.
racial qualities. Possibly.
Yeah.
I have to, like, in my mind, I think of like the AI being what it is because it's a protected life form that was
Right.
created from the technology of the primals, and Carl himself is a primal as his race, which is not like a race that was really utilized or seen. I think one other crawler, maybe in the last however many hundreds of years, was a primal and he made it far. But like, um,
Right.
do you think that that might have something to do with this river and the
I
chaos
I
that we're
wonder,
seeing Carl exhibit has something to do with those
yeah.
maybe racial traits or qualities that they share?
Yeah, I remember having some thoughts on this, and I do still, even though I've read ahead of where we are now, I do have many of the same thoughts, and that is like we know that AIs feed themselves. There's been a comment about that made
Uh
by
huh.
someone more in the know that the AIs feed themselves, and that the reason they have the crawl is to harvest like minerals created by primal engines to feed to the AI at the center of the central like system of the galaxy where all the rich people live. And they need to feed that thing. I don't think we have a name for it yet, but it does have a name. I don't think it's been mentioned specifically yet.
Not yet.
So I wonder if the river is Carl's primal mind or spirit or whatever, like being fed. We know that like soul crystals are fed by the souls of
Mm-hmm.
people who are
Mm-hmm.
killed.
Yes.
But Carl's river doesn't always rush when people are dying. It more
No.
rushes when there are moments of like high chaos and potential, like things are going crazy and Carl doesn't have a plan yet. And then when he seems to settle into a plan or settle into a like I know what I'm going to do, that's when the river seems to quiet, or at least he finds peace within the river or something. It's still very confusing, and we
Or
do
he
have some
throws
moments.
himself into the river and he's just a part
Yeah.
of the chaos and he's going with it. And
Yeah.
I
I don't know. I mean, it
have
could have
had
something to do with the
many thoughts.
ring of divine suffering. It could have something to do with
Oh,
his primal race.
that
I have no idea.
I
Um,
there's some comments that I read from, like, because like I'm a massive, like, super fan weirdo about this, and like I read other people's theories and stuff on Reddit. And one of the like first known instances of like the river was, I think it was like he talked about like a dripping. It was
yes, I
like
think it was
it was when he
in
was
the
talking about like the counter of humans, like the crawlers, like ticking down, like the dripping of a faucet. And like people are like, is this the first known instance of the river being mentioned? Is this like the beginning of it? So I was like, maybe there's something to that. So like it was prior to the ring of divine suffering, but I definitely think that the ring exacerbates these symptoms that he is
yeah,
experiencing.
it's in it's in this book. Chapter 8, a bubbling stream that has gotten a hair louder is in the back of my mind. Something that's always been there, and I can only calm it uh when I am at rest. It is loudest when I'm fully engaged in, well, I think I wrote this. It's loudest when he's fully engaged in like combat or like
Yeah.
dungeon activity and planning and dealing with problems. But yeah, it was brought up chapter 8 of this book. So we hadn't seen it. So like we know that he became a primal in the second book, and here we are, book 5. And it's just now coming up. So maybe it doesn't have to do with the primal race. I don't know.
Maybe.
I will tell you, like, I'm caught up on the books. I still don't know. So this is a big mystery.
You
Anyway,
read book 8. How dare you? I knew you were going to read it, but I'm
yeah.
sad.
I'm sorry. We have so much to talk about, and we have so long to go to get there.
I know.
So yeah. So okay, I got through one line of my notes. So they talk about Zerzura. And so we learn about the spell and what the purpose of it is and some of the risks, which I think are fun and interesting. Quasar assures Carl that they can prepare the changelings for some of those risks, which involve like anyone that dies as a result of the spell being cast, like becomes a revenant, which is a ghost that will attack the people in the city that is teleported. Anyway, they can prepare the changelings to deal with it, is what they say. And then we flash forward to the present, and there is a 3-day countdown until the masquerade. And throughout the rest of the chapters leading up to the masquerade, we see at the start of the chapter like a countdown. So we're feeling the sense of time passing and the effects of their planning and what they're able to accomplish or not accomplish in that amount of time. The 50 top crawlers get their invitations to the masquerade along with their +1 tokens. We get an announcement that reveals that the crawlers, of course, have the highest survival rate on the 6th floor that has ever happened, and the hunters have an attrition rate of 25%, which is also like among the highest it's ever been. And from the announcement from Cascadia, who we still don't actually know the name of, but we will learn at the end of this book her name, even though we've been using it all this time. Cascadia begins to explain some of the masquerades mechanics, and same with Edgar the Tortoise, one of Serena Signet's NPC friends. And we just start to get this sense of like the layout of the castle, a map of where things are located, and how the masquerade will work, which is both a system, like a technological system of what are called goodwill ballrooms, where it's kind of like when Carl goes on shows and the crawlers go on shows and they can like have a 3D representation of themselves at another location, like, you know, like a filming studio or the Crawl Con, and they can kind of interact and touch, like gently touch people and things in those locations sometimes, but they cannot like fully hurt or fully engage. There's also a system where they won't be able to cast spells. They won't have access to their inventory. They will go through security and have their weapons removed. And there's all these limitations, like magically affected limitations. And it seems that it's like in-game magic affecting them and not like the system AI. Like it's not like an enhancement zone, but it's like an in-game magically created enhancement zone or de-enhancement zone.
Yes.
And for the sake of safety, the crawlers will be in their own ballroom, the hunters will be in their own ballroom, and the queen will be in her own ballroom. And then the performers will be in yet other ballrooms, and the stage will be linked as well. So there's all these mechanics going on, and explanation for how they like won't be able to necessarily interact with everyone, but will. It's interesting. And it sets up a lot for how, like, why they plan the things they do and how it goes to shit and then how it ends up working. It's at this point that Louis notices that there's like a big HVAC system. Very interesting. We get some explanation that there are crawlers struggling with the blood bar system that just got implemented, where if they haven't killed anything in a long time, they get kicked out of the safe rooms. they're struggling with it, but they're making some our crawlers that we know are making it work, including Louis, who Carl
Hmm.
notes has leveled up a lot and is
Yeah.
constantly being hit on by Samantha. Even though Louis is engaged, Samantha's constantly making comments about like, well, we'll get permission or we'll do it in secret or blah blah
My
blah.
my king loved to swing, so maybe we could work something out. Like she's just very,
Yeah.
oh God, she's horrible. I
There
love her.
are there's so much to Samantha that we just like don't dig into. She seems like she's entirely comic relief, but she also has like lots of practical applications because she cannot die and Carl can yeet her with his Chistera.
Yeah.
She's so fascinating as a character.
She's
I
only
love
getting
her.
better too. This is when she starts to become like, okay, so like she starts out as a rubber head who can't move, like her own
Yeah.
jaw.
It can't
And
can't
now
move
she's
her
like,
mouth. Yeah.
yeah, and now she's like rolling
Floating
around
around.
on her own merit. Like she's becoming more powerful, she's getting stronger. And as a withering spirit, that's not something she should really be able to do. But like the longer she stays in their party and the more floors they go down, like the more powerful she's becoming. So we don't know what the fuck is up with Samantha. She's something's going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Donut has applied for the pet beauty contest and the talent show. Her applications are accepted. Um, Prepotente mentions that he wants to bring something to Donut. Um, Chapter 57. It opens up with Carl like reviewing, like Batista has set up his entire Beanie Baby collection in their safe room.
Yep.
Something feels very 90s about this. Them just like setting out all these Beanie Babies, like, hey, check out my collection. Carl is like
Yeah.
looking at all of them and noting all of the different things that they are do and what like creatures they turn into. Um, and it makes sense because they're like in this planning stage of tactics and reviewing all of their available tools and options. But it's a like catalyst for them to have a conversation about Batista's relationship with Katya. Um, Carl tells Batista that he approves of the relationship. Donut is constantly making comments of like, "Are you going to let this go on, Carl?" And he's like, "Of course I will. Katya's like a sister to me."
Well,
But
he says
yeah.
that after Batista was like, "Oh, I know you're in love with her, and I'm glad. I was so worried." And Carl's like, "What? No."
Yeah, and Batista is relieved. And this feels like a really like vulnerable and authentic moment. Like the conversation needed to happen at some point. It makes sense that this would be when it is. There is an important particular Beanie Baby that they bring up called a slate butterfly that simply absorbs the energy of light sources. Interesting.
Yep.
Great little seed planted there.
Yep.
And then we cut to Prepotente exhausted from farming the those giant like level 150 monsters. Now level 70, well beyond what Carl is, I think, at this point. He arrives. He has a benefactor box item that he received that is in fact for Donut. Not only did Carl receive something to give to Donut, Prepotente has as well. It is a potion called I Take It All Back, which is meant to remove any effects of Skolopendra's transmutation spells. So any one that has been transformed by Skolopendra will be reverted. Amani messages that she has also received a benefactor box that is addressed to Donut. Apparently, it's just cheaper to send things to lots of other crawlers rather than dump them all onto one. There must be some sort of like compounding cost that builds up over time and increases exponentially. So it makes sense that if they want Donut to have a bunch of things to combine, which we've seen, like this is how benefactor boxes work, is oftentimes you'll just get lots of things added together to create something exceptional. And this is where Donut begins to suspect that Carl's deception with the nipple ring was a ruse all along. Yeah, so they get the take it all back potion, and there's a note to not give it to Tina. Interesting. Chapter 58, Carl and Donut go to the Desperado Club to make contact with the changelings. There's a couple of fun things here. The most important and most fun thing is that Clarabelle, the, I think, crocodilian bodyguard and bouncer, is like, you guys aren't allowed anymore. You can't get in. And they're like, surely you can make an exception for us. What if we bribe you? And she's like, okay, yeah, sure. And what are you going to offer me? And they're like, 100 gold. And Clarabelle's like, 100 gold? That's it? And Donut's like, no, remember when you extorted us for 100 gold? I have a record of all of the, money exchanges I've ever had. And I see here that you told us we would get a refund. And it was only 400 gold, not the 500 gold, blah, blah, blah. Like, and basically reminds Clarabelle that Clarabelle fucked them over for 100 gold. Yeah. Yep. So they get in. And it's really funny. They have to like skulk through the club because they technically shouldn't be in there. They find the changelings. There's secret passageways. They get in as like a closet or a bathroom, and they have to hold the door shut. And Astrid, the blood fairy, catches them and starts to like boil Carl's blood to get him to open the door. It's great. The other fun thing we learn is that Carl's bombing of Zockow at the start of the book has stranded hunters in the Desperado Club the entire time. Like 15 days, 16 days ago. They've been stranded in here for over 2 weeks. It's amazing. And the flooding of Laracos from the previous floor with the Gate of the Feral Gods also stranded faction war sponsors in lower levels of the Desperado Club, which is just it's so good.
It's still flooded. They are still trying to drain it because something keeps clogging the drains, and the sharks don't help. I'm like, God, he really fucked them. Like, it's
not clear what is clogging the drains, but we know that Juicebox made her way there and can shapeshift. So
absolutely,
like, take a guess as who or what is clogging the drains. But it just goes to show, like, that thing that they thought would only work for a little bit as like a statement is in fact becoming like one of the most powerful tactics they've used to prepare for like something way, way in advance. And it's just funny because like Mordecai's always like, just focus on what's right in front of you. Is like, no, look at the effect we're having. We have completely nullified the reason for the hunting grounds. They haven't been able to sell any gear. They aren't making any money. I mean, I feel bad for these hunters because we know now that they're all working class people that are struggling to provide for their families. But, also they're hunting people to do that. They're playing, the most dangerous game, and they're losing. So they get caught by Astrid. They are taken to Orin in Orin's office in the club. Following their trespassing incident, and Orin tells them that he is leaving upon the collapse of this floor and will not return to the dungeon until the 9th floor. It's interesting. At one point, he like is talking about the faction wars, and he says like, assuming that ever happens, we are constantly reevaluating, as if they might call it off. It's very weird because I don't think anyone else they could possibly talk to would ever say that they might shut down the 9th floor and not do faction wars. It feels like something that doesn't make sense. So you're left wondering, because Orin is an authority on the matter. So why would he say that? Is the AI that fucking crazy that they are actually considering shutting the whole thing down?
Probably.
It's very weird.
It's possible. I also, it was at this point that I started thinking, like, okay, is like Orin's like, I like you both very much.
Yeah.
She's like, we know you hate us. He's like, I actually don't hate you. I admire you both very much. And like, the whole reason why he got his job is because he believes the opposite of like what his like he has to like firmly believe the opposite of what his like.
He's talking about fundamental requirements for being in his job, being a liaison, is to be someone who fundamentally disagrees with everyone. Like, be a naysayer, be a poo-pooer,
specifically like
be a
their
devil's
own
advocate.
government,
Yes,
their own people. like their own race, whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
because sometimes they will act counterintuitively to like the best interest of like the AI. So he has to be on the AI side. And the fact that he's like, I admire you. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, is Oren going to be a problem or is he going to be a
Yeah.
friend? Is he
Yeah.
going
It's
to,
very
is he,
weird.
yeah, like this whole interaction. I was like, what the
He's like,
fuck?
I wanted you shoved out the airlock, but also I admire you. And what you're doing for the crawl, I think, was terrible and also very interesting because it's pushing us to do new and exciting things. Yeah. So yeah, their job, like, be someone who
Very
disagrees
weird.
and maintain, quote, the spirit of the crawl. And then he goes on and he's like, well, we all disagree, like most liaisons disagree on how to interpret what the spirit of the crawl is. So it's, once again, it's like, it's completely arbitrary. And he like draws a comparison between liaisons and Wild West sheriffs. Some are
Yeah.
good, some are bad. And Donut is the one to point this out. She's like, I think Oren is trying to warn us that there are liaisons that are up to something. And Oren does not affirm nor deny this. He then kind of shifts to talking about litigation, like all the like lawsuits that have been filed against like Carl and Donut and the AI and Borant, the company, and Borant, the government. And he's like, all litigation against that names the AI as a defendant, we are not allowing anymore because we don't want to push this AI any further, and we need to like understand how to deal with it as it currently is before we make things worse. So that goes like kind of back to the initial point of like they might not do faction wars. It basically is like things are really dangerous maybe for the people who are here and in the dungeon because of like the capability of the AI. Is basically what this is suggesting, but Oren isn't saying that. Just an interesting takeaway that like Oren is pointing at signs of like things are dangerous right now with the AI, with the other liaisons. And he's also saying, and I'm getting out of here.
And I'm
Quasar,
out.
Quasar shows up along with the woman that we met at CrawlCon from the fan club, and we cut away. We don't know what happens here, but we do know that this woman and the fan club have raised a shitload of money. We'll get back to that. Back in the safe room, Carl starts planning with a focus on how to kill as many hunters as possible to reduce their numbers before the party. We are reminded that he picked up the automaton table and Dr. Ratchet's guide on making automatons. And Carl stresses about like, well, I know I wasn't supposed to get this because I stole it from a green room. But no one said anything. I don't know if I can use it. And he uses it. He's like, I don't have a choice. I need to use this now. Like I'm going to have to like force the issue at, sooner or later. Might as well try and use it now. And no one says anything. Zev reaches out and tells the party that the Syndicate Council ruled that this is just more of like the lawsuits. We can't name the AI as a defendant. And it's deteriorating. At this point, Carl begins to just like wonder to himself, and it's a lot of the same questions we have, like, why can't they replace the AI? We don't know how these AIs work, so maybe it's more complicated than that.
Why can't they just like turn it off and turn it on again?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just like
Have you tried power cycling it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mordecai points out that Borant, the company, is still making a shitload of money from everything because, of course, people are investing more money to protect the money that they've already invested.
Right.
But everyone is losing money except Borant, and he mentions like it's too bad Borant, the government, couldn't keep a hold of the crawl and that the Valte took over, because like Borant, the company, is making shitloads of money.
Yeah, they're flush. Absolutely.
We see some moments of Donut finishing up her costumes for the activities. Apparently, she had Mordecai's help. I was tickled by this, that Mordecai was helping with costumes. The party and some of the other parties within the guild head out to go hunt hunters using the automatons. There is a sudden and quick appearance of Emberus much earlier in the book, and this becomes clear as to why. We learn as Carl is attacking hunters that Vra had summoned Emberus in order for the hunters and Zakau guards to worship Emberus. Because of Carl's worship, he can't attack and kill other worshippers of Emberus without facing a penalty. So it's like an attempt to remove Carl from the battlefield.
Yeah.
And Katya also figures out that the hunters are being sponsored, and that the Valte and Borant likely have enabled sponsorship of hunters so that they can get money from the families of the hunters, trying to get them gear that they haven't been able to get from crawlers to increase their odds of survival. The AI forced them out of the safe rooms. The AI is forcing them to compete and fight and try and survive. So, of course, Borant would try and profit off of that. Great. Good. Wonderful. It is helpful to the crawlers. It's also disgusting and sick. We move into chapter 61 with a ominous cookbook entry from the 6th user, a character named Milk, a crawler named Milk, that has a warning. It basically talks about the aftermath of a country boss where 400 people fought the boss and only 50 survived. And they immediately all picked up a treasure map from the boss and started fighting over the loot. And not only that, but even before that, they were competing with one another to damage, to try and get more damage on the boss to get more credit and more XP. And apparently those 50 survivors all just started killing each other.
They
so
turned on each other. Yeah.
It's awful. Yeah. We then have, go ahead.
I also want to point out that in that entry, was it the same? Was that the same entry where he was talking about the boon that he had gotten, and how, or was that a different crawl? Was that a different entry?
It was probably a different one, because this one's pretty short, and I don't remember there being. Yeah.
I just, because there's a call there. It must be from another. So one of the potions they got, the I take it all back potion. It directly references something that was written in the cookbook by another of the cookbook's authors. And it's the third and last entry from this particular cookbook author. And it starts with, I take it all back. I take it all back. It was a bloodbath. And I thought it was the same one because they were talking about.
Ooh.
No. That's a different one because they talk about the maze. And this is we get some hints about what the next floor is going to be from this. This is excellent foreshadowing. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't remember what chapter it happened in, but it was around here.
Oh, I think I don't remember. I know that some of, oh boy.
It is in. It was
chapter?
Crawler Everly. It's in chapter 64.
Oh, Everly.
Yeah.
Oh, and okay. Then, yeah. I have some notes on that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay. So let's see. Where was I? We get some exposition about how the blood bar and the bramble that is now growing out from those shambling horrors that they failed to kill, and the bramble that is going to eventually cover the entire floor, is actually helping them hunt the hunters, because they're being kicked out of the safe rooms and they're being forced towards the crawlers. who are all very disorganized. We're expecting to be able to go home and are just unprepared and unseasoned compared to many of the crawlers at this point. So the hunt for hunters actually goes quite well. We get some scenes of them hunting, and just overall, like, they are very, like, all of our crawlers that, like, the named ones that we know, are communicating and very coordinated. They have planned and are like things are going their way and as they expect, and it just feels really good that they feel like a SEAL Team 6. You know, they know what they're doing. And at one point, the goddess of nature, Dewata, that Cersei had come to Earth to sponsor, enters the realm, and Carl is marked for death by this god. And remember, Carl got in Dewata's bad graces because he had fallen through the church and broken the altar on accident. And then Cersei monopolized on that. Yeah, he defiled it. And then Cersei's like, I'm sponsoring that god because it already hates Carl. Perfect. Great. Good. And then we, in chapter 62, we get just another great start. It's like, it's a great example of show don't tell. It just starts with Donut asking, shouldn't we be running away from the god? That just says so much about what's going on and how they are responding to Dewata entering the realm. And this is where we learn Dewata's being sponsored. They run out of the church. Or no, Dewata, I think, exits the church that they were about to assault, but then flies off like a flies off. Yeah, instead of confronting them, which
goes in the opposite direction.
Confuses them at first. Samantha tells them that Dewata is known for giving birth to new forest creatures. The other gods do not like Dewata for this reason. They realize that Dewata / Cersei is heading to Vra to cure her of her gonorrhea, her double enthusiastic gonorrhea, and potentially start giving birth to her own grandchildren by copulating with Vra. It's very weird and fucked up.
It's so fucked up.
It's super fucked up. And yeah, this is really just about like these chess pieces that we've moved around the board, particularly with Vra and Cersei. They're continuing to move and develop in new and interesting ways, especially given the fucked up nature of what's going on with them.
Christ.
Chapter 63 starts with only 8 hours until the masquerade. It is their final raid on hunters. They head to the last town before the castle of the elves to find Signet there. Carl speaks with her privately and tells her, basically unloads his entire plan to kill Queen Imogen. But first, Carl tells Imogen that her plan isn't going to work. And basically is like, because you're an NPC in a game. And like, tries to essentially start waking her up as an NPC. And Carl offers his alternative plan. And basically, he's trying to use Signet as a well-timed distraction for Imogen, and which will both like keep Imogen preoccupied and get Signet to not be a bit of a wild card for them if he can convince her to do it. Zev messages Carl and is like, don't try and affect this third party's story. But Signet listens to Carl and like genuinely listens to what he has to say.
She's like, okay, so what's the plan?
Yeah.
You know, like, what do we do?
It's a weird scene. Like, we had this weird sexual tension with Signet in book 2 because of the like charisma effect, like supernaturally affecting Carl. But here, like, we know that he's not being affected by her in any way. But there's like this intimate scene with lots of touching. Signet puts her head on Carl's shoulder as if she's like resting and being vulnerable with him. She puts her hand on his knee. He puts his hand on hers. Carl says it's not seductive. Like, he says that in the text, but it's so raw and intimate. It's really weird.
I think it's meant as like a gesture. I see it is intimate, and it is. I think it was meant to be sexual, but like I do believe that Carl didn't read it that way. I think it was like a moment of comfort.
Yeah.
It's intimate in the way a moment of comfort can be.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's like, is Carl just being performative for that third party's story? Is
Well,
he doing it
I
for the
think
sake of like Signet because he knows that she believes everything in her life is real and he's trying to like be vulnerable with her so as to like woo
I don't
her
think
to his
no, I don't think
way of
that's it at all,
thinking?
honestly. I think in that scene he also mentions like he thought about what Donut said about soap operas and how like they're gonna have sex in a meadow and then he's gonna fucking die. So like don't
Yeah.
do it, Carl.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
I do think that he had that in mind and he understood probably like what this script was going for and maybe why she was putting her head on his shoulder or put her hand on his leg or whatever. But like he took that and he turned it into friendship and comfort and like, hey, I want to help you, but your
Yeah.
plan is gonna fail. Like he turned it into something different, partnership instead of
Yeah.
romance like they had intended. So
Yeah.
like
I mean,
I don't think he's playing up to it. I think it's like
it's intimacy in
yeah, yeah.
like, they're about to go into a deadly situation together, you know, and they are people. Yeah, it's a fun scene. It's full of sexiness because we know that Imogen is a basically naked lady with tattoos all over her body. Uh and she's
Signet is
and she's
but she's
badass.
also described as being
Oh,
very
not yeah, not
unattractive.
Imogen. Yes.
Just because she's naked. I mean, well, I get well maybe that's
Yeah.
all it takes. Oh my god.
Yeah. And just to build on the sexiness and intimacy of the moment, Carl then proceeds to ask about Grimaldi, her lover slash father figure.
Yeah.
And what went on with him, and she brings up, oh yeah, you know how he was a vine? We brought him to this floor and planted him next to the all tree, which is something that got brought up by some of her other party, like her NPC
Yeah.
friends.
Its roots go deeper than
Yeah,
deeper
it
than this
yeah,
place.
the Altry seems like something that is like pervasive through all the urban floors. Uh, and
Yes.
apparently now Grimaldi is like fused with it. Yeah,
I think it was meant as like a healing thing, and that like being
hmm
planted next to the all tree would help cure him of the sickness that ailed him. And he like returns to the tree as we all do, is like what she said. So whether or not that means he's alive, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It feels like a seed is planted there.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll learn more about that. Maybe not. Um, So we then cut to them reviewing all of like these 7 items that Donut has been given through various benefactor boxes for other crawlers, which include a new tiara, a recharge wand scroll, a piece of sheet music that I mentioned to Rumble in the pre-stream, a little tiny hammer that is magical but doesn't do anything, and something called the Stick of Cascadia's Screens. Um, Carl
Oh,
notes
so
that the
good.
stick and hammer both have the number 7 on them, and wonders if it means the 7th floor. Uh, Carl is correct. It does, and we will see how that matters in the epilogue.
In the epilogue, so
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
it's amazing. I can't wait. Carl begins to have a very like ominous line of thought about how all of the sponsors want Donut to have everything. I have a quote here. It's because they expect everyone else to be dead. Donut should have all this stuff because she's the most likely to survive this next part. It's why
Hmm.
it's why Quasar wanted Donut's name on the board of directors of our new and I guess my quote cut off, like corporation or
Yeah.
something. Uh, this is loaded because it is intrusive thoughts from Carl, so we don't know like is this a genuine worry that like the sponsors really just don't care? Or is this just Carl worrying? Because there have been cookbook authors that talk about how sponsors' gifts are leading them to glorious deaths and not genuinely looking out for their well-being.
Yeah, they're not trying to keep them alive forever.
Yeah.
They're trying to give them a death that will be remembered, right?
It's ominous because most of these, I think actually all of these gifts are coming from the apothecary, not
Yes.
like if it had come from the OIPAN, the Open Intellect Pacifist Action Network, which we know is headed up by Porthos, a former cookbook author, we would feel better about the first one. We would feel better about it, but it's not. It's coming from the apothecary, which is characterized by the Krakerin, which we don't know anything about. So, but then there's also this loaded statement of Donut is the leader of this board of directors of a new corporation. What?
Yeah,
and we're beginning to see a picture being painted of what happened with all the money that the Princess Posse had raised. Yeah. Carl debates going down the stairwell early as the smartest thing that they could do to avoid all of this fallout and danger. But they need to do this in order to save the changelings and move them onto the 9th floor so that they can survive that floor. They have to risk stuff now to increase their odds later. Is basically what the conclusion he arrives at. We get them using the coffee shop author kit to plan in secret, and some of the crawlers, not the ones going to the masquerade, but other crawlers on the floor are just descending stairwells by the thousands with an hour and a half left before everywhere but the castle is overrun by bramble. The team heads out to the party at the end of the chapter, but not before they mention that they've all brushed their teeth, which is a reminder that they received an item called Seize the Day toothpaste.
Oh, yeah.
Which does 3 times damage to bosses and 4 times damage to province, country, and floor bosses. It's just a huge buff for damage. Very fun. We see the start of chapter 64. This is the one that you mentioned with Everly, the 5th cookbook author.
Yes.
Where it's like, my sponsor sent me a box today meant for someone else in my party. I don't trust my sponsors, but I trust they want to keep me alive. Their advertisements are like a lifeline for me because as long as I'm alive, they have ad revenue or they have ads for their products and services. And then there's another note later. The moment I hit the floor, they gave me a great box as if to make up for the previous shitty one. Next entry, I take it all back. My sponsor deliberately steered me not toward life, but death. I was full. It was heartrending. And then we get a note from Drachia that that last entry was Everly's last entry. And asking future crawlers to be more detailed in what happened.
Which is what leads us into Matt Dinniman giving us all of his best of Carl. Yes. Carl and his whack-ass plans, his best laid plans, which immediately start to crumble.
An enormous entry from Carl, which he basically copy and pastes from the
bathroom,
the coffee authorship kit, and he's able to just mentally copy paste. So he's like, this is our multi-page plan, which we get in pieces throughout the next few chapters. We get like excerpts, so we don't even see the full thing, but it's just a massive planning document. And so, Carl documents his plan in the cookbook. We see a few pages. We also see notes from other team members writing, basically being like, this is my thought, and I'm noting that I have seen the plan. Your read receipts, Carl, are on. And basically, Carl, in this excerpt, lists their primary goals, of which there are many. Their absolute primary goal is to simply survive the masquerade. Their second goal is to complete the Tina quest, kill Eva, save the changelings of Zorzura by taking the castle, Kill Lucia Marr, who is a threat to them all, and kill every hunter. Just a few simple goals. There is a lot of really fun responses to these goals and the plan. We see like some of their signatures and stuff, which includes Florin basically like calling Lucia Marr for himself.
Yep. Calling
L
dibs.
L and Lina agree that Carl's plan is going to get them all killed. Louis and Firas express wanting to go down the stairwell early.
Yep.
And then there's, of course, Donut not signing her name, but simply leaving an all caps response. I hate this paper thing, Carl. Oh, she actually does sign her full title in this entry, but there are other moments where she simply does not sign it, but just full caps responses. And she's like, you know who this is, Carl. Is very
It's
funny.
obvious. It's obvious who's writing this, Carl. Yeah.
Yeah. After this entry, we cut to Carl and Donut and crew being escorted to the party in carriages with an hour left. There is like a guard walk like with them, explaining more security features and requirements of them. And it kind of lays out more of the like goodwill floor and ballroom stuff to us. We learn a little bit of like the fictional reason for it, that the masquerade is put in place by the goddess Apito, which is news to Carl. Carl mentions like, I did not anticipate that a god would be involved in this. And this guard says over and over and over that Queen Imogen will enforce the protections, and any attack on any guest is considered an attack on her. We also get like a crawler hunter count. There will be 73 crawlers at the party, 264 hunters at the party. We learn that in Carl's wagon or carriage is Brittany, who has something strange she's wearing, a weird jacket, and a changeling who is disguised as Serena Signet. Why? Why are they doing that? Well, because Queen Imogen suddenly appears in their carriage. That's why. They wanted to get her attention.
They wanted her to come out. Yeah.
It's hilarious because Brittany panics and casts a spell, like a protection spell, on a 4-hour cooldown and does not have it now.
I mean, to be fair to Brittany, I would have done the same goddamn thing, because like the thing that happens like immediately following this is like you get like the entry for like who Queen Imogen is, and you see how powerful she is and like what she's capable of. And like they even talk about like how the juicer on the first floor used to like to read to orphans, and it's like there's something redeemable about like all of these. You've killed people who like to read to children, and then it goes on to say like, but Queen Imogen ain't like that.
She's irredeemable.
Yeah, she's irredeemable.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, Brittany's terrified, and then she even asked Carl, she's like, are you afraid? And he's like, yeah. Like, he's not gonna lie to her in this moment. She knows how fucking terrifying she is. So like,
the entire goal was to draw her out.
Thing.
Yeah, the goal was to draw her out so they can figure out who have they made into Queen Imogen. Yes. Carl goes, Your Majesty, I said, trying to swallow. Oh fuck. Oh shit. He's going to lose his mind, which is written so wonderful because it's Carl's reaction. And we're like, who's going to react this way? Which he? Are you really attempting to smuggle someone who looks like my half sister into the castle? Carl, Katya, it worked. We drew her out, but it's Ifechi. Queen Imogen is Ifechi, Florin's dead girlfriend.
Or her twin sister.
Right. And then we cut at the end of that chapter, which is the note we're left on. No, it is not her sister. It's the twin, which we talked about. This is chapter 65 has this big map of like, it starts with this big map of the like castle, which kind of lays out 3-dimensionally where things are. And most importantly, it shows us that all these ballrooms are separated, how far away from one another they are, and where the security room lies amongst them. There is a lot of vertical, like ascending and descending floors that happens that is really critical to the plan. So this is very helpful. It also lists all of the Goodwill Ballroom rules here, which is very helpful, I think, for the reader. I think it's really important. Like, we've had all these chapters of talking about, like, how is this all set up? And this is, like, kind of concisely presents it all.
Yes.
It's much easier to understand than, like, say, the Iron Tangle.
Oh, God.
But their plan is still very like, the plan for this is actually more complicated than their Iron Tangle plans. But the layout isn't as complicated. Yes. So we get the map of the castle. We then cut back to the scene with Queen Imogen. We learn specifically that of the Goodwill ballrooms, they can interact with each other gently, but the queen has no such restriction. She can freely attack them from the safety of her own ballroom, and they cannot interact with her and harm her. We learned that there is a security room where all of this Goodwill ballroom nonsense is controlled from, and that all of the performances for the talent show and pet shows are from the servant ballrooms on the basement floor down here. That is where Donut and Tina are headed. So yeah. We then get some planning notes. We need to get someone to the control room to turn off the protections so that we can cast our spells and access our inventory. And then we cut back to the Queen Imogen conversation. She is a level 145 country boss. Her description talks about how irredeemable she is, but it also reveals that she is afraid of dying. Very human trait. Very, very, reasonable, bad guy and good person motivating goal. And yes, that the masquerade itself is part of her plan to make sure that she will never die. This is when Katya clarifies in chat with Carl that this is Ifechi's twin. Carl remarks on how glad he is it's not Beatrice and how hard that would be. He calls or reaches out to Florin to be like, all right, Florin, go down the stairwell. We determined ahead of time and all agreed that whoever's loved one it was would go down. And his response, Florin's, is to tell Carl to go fuck himself.
I mean,
yeah,
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I think Florin has a number of goals. He's like, I need to get revenge on Ifechi, and I know that this isn't Ifechi, so it'll be fine. And Carl stop trying to control everything. Natural reaction to the backseat crawler. So Imogen has arrived. She confronts Carl about bringing someone imitating Signet. She already knows that this is a changeling or some sort of, copy. Carl reveals that he made sure it wasn't close enough of a copy so that they could bait Signet but not offend her. And she tells Carl that as the host, it is her duty to ensure that there is no violence this evening. She explains that the first masquerade was put on by Apito in the Halls of Ascendancy. It's called a masquerade because it is a chance for us to take off our anxieties and our scheming, to be with our rivals and enemies and just be people with them. But the first one was upset by Eurillo, the god of lust, the one that we learned about in the last book that the mage tried to summon but instead got Samantha.
Yep.
That god broke the peace by forcing himself on the familiar of another god, was banished to the nothing. Great, that's how he got there. By Apito herself, which started a chain reaction of other gods fighting amongst themselves. It is a rite. The Butcher's Masquerade, it is an attempt to meet Apito's goals of getting along. That's funny because Carl is constantly trying to get people to just get along. It's very interesting.
But it's I don't know if he really wants. Does he want it? I don't know.
I mean, he talks about it. He's constantly saying, like, Frank, Maggie, we could have been stronger together. We should have worked together from the start. Quanch, why are you like this? You're just a bully. We could have done better together. Like, Carl has this ideal of unity, which is really funny because a lot of other people and groups in these novels that value unity are all really shitty.
Really fucking are.
Yeah, like, the Bloom, the space Nazis.
Space fish
Um,
Nazis.
yeah. So Carl pushes back and he's like, don't you kill people that aren't elves? He's basically like, yeah, unity, the way the Bloom Party wants unity, where they kill people that aren't aligned with their goals and objectives. A hegemonic unity. Um, and she responds, only when they dare treat themselves as our equals. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a,
Right.
know and stay in your place kind of perspective. We know
Elf
this one.
Nazi. Got
Yeah,
it.
we're familiar. She goes on to explain that the Butcher's Masquerade is not only like a party, it is a spell that she casts and that will bind everyone involved and enforce the protections. It's basically it's setting up stakes, and it will actually send whoever breaks the piece into the nothing. Like the magic will do that. It will summon a hole to the nothing, like we saw in the Desperado Club, and grab whoever breaks the celestially enforced peace seal. Apito will intervene, summon the nothing, cast whoever breaks the seal in, which Carl did not account for. And this
Yep.
is the first enormous wrench in their plan. Wrench that they didn't anticipate. Imogen states, if the ritual is disturbed, I don't care who disturbs it. I'm coming for you first, Carl. We'll talk later. I have you on my dance card. And she leaves. It's really funny. She says this multiple times throughout this section, this whole part. She's like, we will be dancing later, Carl. We will talk then. It's very matter of fact.
Better not try to get out of it, dude.
Yeah. And the chapter
We'll talk
ends.
more then.
Yeah, the chapter ends. The party hadn't even started yet, and our plan was already fucked.
Yep.
And so we have had chapters and chapters of setup, and now we start to see it all the planning unravel, which is just great for the drama that we get here. There are various flashbacks to notes of their strategy. They're basically like, we absolutely, under no circumstances, can fight Imogen in our own ballroom. We will die. We will lose. Don't bother. We know that this, yeah.
I was gonna say, like, so immediately after this, he's like, we got to go with Plan B, and then
yeah,
like 20 pages later, Plan B starts to unravel. He's like, all right, let's go with Plan C. Like, so there's just so many contingencies.
Yeah, Carl immediately in the chat, plan won't work, new plan, we don't do anything. We cannot make the first move, but we're still going to do all of our like preparation inside the masquerade. Brittany mentioned something about her awful jacket that she's wearing. And Carl's like, don't set off your jacket. Okay. Don't know what that's about. A guard tells the changeling that is imitating Signet they're not welcome, and we learn that all of the changelings are like heading to a basement entrance in the caves under the castle. This is where like kind of the outside picture of all of their plans starts to shape up. But then the rest of the parties going to the masquerade start going through security and entering the ballrooms. We see that there is a light on the wall that indicates the protections are in effect when they are turned on. That's really interesting given what we learned about the slate moths and how they absorb lights. What a coincidence.
The electricity from an electrical source. So like the light that says that it's now like a no-kill zone, it's siphoning the electricity from that source.
Right. Which
not just the light.
Right. And it's not turning off the protections and magic. It is simply removing the indicator that they're on. And I don't think they talk about the purpose a lot, but I think it's meant to confuse the hunters and confuse Imogen. To
make them make the first move. Absolutely.
Right. To goad them into thinking, oh shit, the crawlers can do whatever they want. We need to attack them first. Which doesn't end up, I think, necessarily working. But it was a good plan. It's interesting. And we can see the kind of like connecting the dots of like, this is what we think the situation is. So we made all these plans. And that's what we get here is our plans are falling apart and it's utter chaos and panic and confusing, but we have contingencies. And this is all happening as they like get into this beautiful ballroom with a beautiful mural of Scolopendra sleeping and wrapping around a tree, probably the all tree. And it's like, okay, I can see what, why this is a beautiful castle, but it is chaos. We see Chaco, Mordecai's former party member, who he attacked and got naughty listed, is manning the prize counter. We see Princess Donadia, who is now Empress Donadia, is here virtually to judge the talent show and pet contest. And
we get some information from her as well.
Yeah.
About her bid.
Yeah. Donadia tells Carl that he and his attorney almost ruined her buy-in bid with their new corporation. What could they possibly be bidding for? I will admit I couldn't figure this out the first time I read this. I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. And this, with everything else going on, I was willing to just be pleasantly surprised later on by this, and I was trying to puzzle everything else out of like, how are they going to get through this in the moment?
Yeah, like the first time around, I did not know, could not guess.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's really good. Yeah. This is great setup because it makes sense given what has happened. That it's really fun that Matt Dinniman saved what is going on with this new corporation and Empress Donadia for the end. It is utterly triumphant, just like with the fourth book.
It's so good. But it feels like something like I should have got.
Right.
I'll be honest, because once we find out, and having read the further books, this, the little snips of what it's leading up to has been there for the last two books.
Right. It has been there, and really, it's like, okay, they're both trying to bid on something, knowing Carl and Donut. It probably has to do with the dungeon. So what could it be? It could be a sponsorship of a hunter, of a crawler, of a god. What else? Well, factions.
Faction wars.
I don't know if we had learned that any of the factions had pulled out at this point. But we did. Okay, so the dots were all there to connect.
Yeah, the dots were there, as a result specifically of the flooding of Laracos, and then not being able to get gear and to make the money from the from the sixth floor. There.
It makes sense.
They made mention that two other teams had already pulled out.
That's true. Yeah, it makes sense, and it's all there. I didn't get it. I think both times reading this, I was, even the second time reading this, I was confused and a little overwhelmed, and I was happy to just let it be. And I think it works for that reason. We as the reader are already trying to puzzle out so much. I think it works both ways. If a reader figures it out here, that's really cool. And they've
been taking notes and connecting the dots in a way that I did not. It explains why
Carl is so contemptuous with someone who has seemed like an ally for books now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So they no longer seem to have an ally, and something's going on with them. We learned that in these little green rooms they had before the security, where they could change, they had left out potions for a bunch of crawlers. Eva has been stealing them. Eva's fucking them over. And Vra enters the party. Vra is healed, no longer suffering from enthusiastic double gonorrhea. The lights turn on, signaling that the protections are in effect. Carl starts messaging Bomo, the Sledge, the Changelings, and Brittany that things are a go. We move into chapter 67. Vra has a confrontation with Carl that is really not what I expected, because Vra is just talking shit to Carl, and he's like, yeah, while he's watching Brittany do a thing where she sidles up to a guard, pulls a tag on her jacket. It's a Beanie Baby jacket. That's what's going on. One of the slate butterflies flies up, disables the light. The whole jacket is made of Beanie Babies. Incredible. Great way to smuggle those items in, which are not considered like a weapon. Meanwhile, Vra's threatening Carl. He doesn't even really care. He
Nope.
just like absentmindedly talks shit back.
He's like, "Hey, did you have a good visit with your mom?"
Yeah. It's really funny. But intense. Like Vra is clearly like ready to kill him. We've learned that they will have safe passage to the masquerade, and they will be escorted out the exit safely. But once they're outside, they are fair game for the hunters and the elves themselves to attack once they leave their own castle. Yeah. Lucia Marr and Eva arrive into the ballroom, as well as various crawlers. They all have to be held back from one another. The intercrawler politics and bad blood is really bad. But Lucia Marr is acting very strangely. They are scared and meek looking.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Katya and Eva are slinging insults at one another. Carl and Donut emotionally support Katya, which is great to see. Yeah, this is such a wild like circumstance for them. All these characters that would otherwise be trying to kill each other to come together and socialize. It's such a weird, strange situation that Matt Dinniman has written for all these characters to like come together in a pseudo peaceful way. Very weird.
It's
Yeah.
it, it's and so like I think what was great though was that I didn't expect it to be Katya who went after Eva. I
Right.
thought for sure it was going to be Florin who went after Lucia Marr. I thought for sure it was going to be like
Yeah.
Vra who, you know what I mean? Like I thought the confrontation, the real danger was going to be anyone but Katya. So like that, I was like,
Right.
okay, that was surprising. This does read really
Right.
well.
And it's so strange that Lucia Marr, who has, made multiple threats to Donut, who actually isn't here, but lots of other people too, is not the major threat that they were anticipating that they would need to kill to stop
Mhm.
from breaking the seal. I mean, how do you even stop her from breaking the seal by killing her? Anyway, but Florin and Carl agree something is off with Lucia Marr as she is literally shaking, scared in the corner. And they agree they need to keep the hunters from goading her and getting her to break the seal. Prepotente tells Carl that he needs to join their party for the remainder of this floor so they can travel together to the next one. Carl is hesitant, but they have him join the party. Speaking of the party, the masquerade activities begin. Signet's allies and the changelings outside start to move on the castle and attack the castle towers to get inside. They are going to use Zerzura on the castle. The changelings need to be inside when that happens. Signet enters the room. Apparently, she has been invited. This is not according to the plan. Signet was supposed to be a part of the assault on the castle, not a part of the party. Zev is pissed off, blames Carl. Signet says, yes, Apito herself arrived and gave me my invitation. And Carl goes, that's the AI. I didn't do this one. Shifting blame. It's very funny. But also, Carl's plan is going off the rails.
Yep.
Not good.
Every time they shift, that one is also fucked immediately, just like based on like what they're learning up to the moment. And like I at this point, like I don't know why I'm surprised, but like I'm always continuously surprised because like I always think, okay, this might happen. This is what they're leading up to. Ooh, I bet this happens. And I am always fucking wrong. So
Yeah.
like I
It's
just
sometimes it's really hard to anticipate Matt Dinniman's plot because it's just so off the rails and wild. And yet somehow it's like, well, I mean, what else could it be? Of course it's this.
yes.
It's great. Chapter 68 is just basically Signet talking about the masquerade itself. She's like, yep, I got invited by Apito. It is likely as a test to Imogen to see if she is worthy of the boon that she wants to receive from Apito by successfully casting the spell, meaning the seal is not broken. They can have a calm party, but no one's ever done it. No one has ever cast this spell and successfully gotten the boon from a pedo. So, and then Signet spots all the off-world judges, including Empress Denadia, and goes, "Who the fuck are they?" And Carl goes, "Yeah, so I need you to wake up right now as an NPC." And he's like, "Yeah, they're from another world. This is a contrived story that you're
They're
in,
doing
and
this
you're the main
for
character." Yeah,
entertainment, exactly.
yeah.
And like a hand kind of floats into Empress Denadia's like frame and hands her like another
pours
glass
a
of
drink.
champagne.
Yeah.
She's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. So Signet's like, "I want to go learn about that." And it genuinely feels like Signet is going off of her own railroad, which might go well, might not. Like, Zev is messaging Carl, like saying, "God's damn it, Carl," our classic "God damn it, donut." She is saying, "God's damn it, Carl." Carl laughs in response. It seems like his attempt to get her to wake up as an NPC it could work.
It's going somewhere. We don't know what's going to happen, though.
Yeah, it's also Signet, and she's a part of a story that they're, of course, going to try and blow up and get everybody killed for the views. So it could go either way. Chapter 69 here, I think I have the most notes on this particular chapter. I found this the most interesting. Just like in our last episode, Carl meeting hunters, I find really interesting because it's Carl interacting with other people in shitty situations in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. They are like written as Carl's enemy, but Carl has so much in common with them and shared belief systems. It's very interesting when this happens.
It just further reinforces in the same way that Zev is essentially a crawler within her own system. Yeah. Like she has her own shit to deal with. Like this dude, same thing. Like, yeah, I can't wait to see. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Like, I want to hear what you have written about it.
We meet Zabit, who is the hunter that sent the invisible pets to kill Carl right when he arrived on the floor. So we already have reason to really hate this guy. I mean, he's very clever. Like, we can respect him as a hunter because he like was on it. He's a seasoned hunter, clever, skilled. He almost killed Carl right off the bat.
Immediately.
And he meets him at the prize counter where they're redeeming hands of each other's people for prizes as a reward for killing one another, which is like all the more reason to hate this guy. But Zabit talks to Carl like he's just like a friendly rival. Yes. Like kind of dispassionate, but like he admires how Carl successfully screwed him over. He's like, it's like an athlete being like, "Good play. Like, I hate that you did it to me, but I gotta respect the hustle." Carl is not so amicable. He's really pissed off at this guy and asks him, "Why do you hunt crawlers? Does it make you feel tough and powerful?" He asks. And we learn this is yet another cog in the machine, another person trying to make money for the like, he's like literally like, so that my people can survive. My people are non-citizens. We can barely afford like to upkeep our habitat. To have air, maintenance, land. Like, if it weren't for the money I make, we would all be indentured. Quote, "Employment options are limited. Without this opportunity, we would be forced to sign a protection agreement with another system and live under indenture. My failure this season will make it difficult for my people to survive until the next. It is the risk I take, like life or death, to keep my people from being slaves, basically. As for the rest of your question, no, it doesn't make me feel tough or powerful. Some of us do revel in the killing," point to Vraw. "For others, it's a mean of survival." That seems like most. There are these accountants, there are lots of hunters just trying to make bones for their people and themselves. He goes on to say, "I understand your objection. I would object too, were the situations reversed."
Yeah.
Carl, Carl goes on like a few sentences later, "I had no real response to that. Then after a moment, I said, it seems in a universe so large, one shouldn't have to live somewhere inhospitable, referring to his habitat, that they
Yeah.
have to like pay for air to be like shipped to or whatever their system is.
Mhm.
It seems like it would be easy to find a place to live in peace. It does seem like it should be that way, doesn't it? Zabit responds. There shouldn't be scarcity. This is manufactured scarcity again. This is
Yes,
Marxism again. It's manufactured scarcity. Um, yeah,
dude.
yeah. It's just another example. I don't need to get like more into it. I just found this really interesting. It's just another perspective, and this from a hunter that almost got Carl. And it kind of like is Carl being like, "Does this make you feel tough, you asshole?" And he's like, "I'm just trying to survive, man." And like, it's a respectable hunter who's like good at his job, who failed and isn't holding it against Carl.
Right.
Yeah,
Because he's a part of the larger universe and he
right.
understands that this
Yeah,
is just how things are. But it's like and it's amazing because like it all started with that like frog in the pot, and you gently increase the heat and
hmm,
before it knows it, it's being boiled alive. And humans were thrust into this situation and they
yeah,
had no idea what was going on. So like they're not as passive, they're not willing to be as passive. The whole point of the show is that they fight. And like everyone else in the universe is kind of like realizing like, yeah, it's like holy shit, I can't like. So with this particular hunter, like I have to wonder, like, yes, he had to do this in order to like make money and like sell the gear that he gets so that they can like live. They'll barely survive until the next time he can join another hunter group like this. But like I'm
yeah.
it's little interactions like this, and I wonder if he's going to take that conversation home with him, and if
It's I don't
things will turn
know.
the tide for whoever, like whatever this guy's race is.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, it's just like Edict though. Edict was like, because of your actions, all of my options are bad for me. Like you've put me in a terrible bind. You've put my people in a terrible bind.
yeah,
And this guy's like, yeah, my people might not survive. We might have to be indentured now because you were so successful.
yes,
Um, yeah, like we're
it's
all
it's
drowning in a pool, pushing on each, or we're all frogs in a boiling pot, trying to jump leapfrog off of one another to get out, and it's just forcing others down into the heat and water.
hmm
Yeah. It's this next moment is really interesting. Like the really deep conversation kind of turns. He turns his attention back to Chaco and the reward table. I will take the drop shield for 20 scalps. Apparently they have scalps and not hands. The invisibility pack for
yeah,
3. Chaco took a hesitant step back toward the counter. That leaves you with 2. Like you have 2 more, tickets to redeem. I will, and he simply says, I will take what I have ordered. There is like this frugal, simplistic materialism. Like he doesn't like he's not being optimal,
right,
using everything he's got. He's like, well, then I just leave 2 on the table. I didn't need everything. Um, which is very interesting and almost makes you like have a little bit more, even more respect for Zabit if you have any to begin with. I do because
yes,
he's a man trying to just take care of his own. It's really interesting. And then there's this like element that gets introduced of like dungeon mechanics. He's like, yeah, so you'll get all of those in your like box storage because your inventory is full. Like
they
apparently
don't have
yeah,
unlimited
yeah,
inventory. I love that.
they have the slot system. And so Carl asks, what happens when the floor collapses? Do you get to keep everything? Just what's in our inventory, Zabit said, and we are unable to sell it. We are given credit to gold exchange value. How much is that? I asked. Practically nothing. He turned to move off. So
Yeah,
the only thing of value for the hunters is what they can sell to the factions. This guy has entered the hunting grounds and gotten nothing.
yep,
And it's the same with all the hunters, of which there are very few left. I mean, like a quarter, a fifth of who entered. This opportunity exists not for sport or entertainment, but simply to help the sponsors. And I guess bragging rights for those that have enough money to support themselves and not need to make money off of the hunt. Like Vra.
yeah,
Yeah.
She owns an amusement park,
Yeah.
and in fact,
She's
that's like a
she's got
thing that
Mickey Mouse bucks.
yeah, she's got that Disney money, son. And like Carl taunts with that. He's like, "Hey, don't your people own in an amusement park? What do you do there?" Like, and
Yeah,
it just poking the goddamn bear, and I
he
love it.
does. Yeah. So Zabit leaves. Very interesting interaction. He then turns to Chaco, who he still doesn't. We still don't have much on the Chaco Mordecai history. He asks Chaco why Mordecai hates him. He's like, I can't say. And then he goes on to say quite a bit. He's like, whatever happened, I regret it. And if I hadn't done it, we would all be dead, including Mordecai and
Including
his
his
brother.
brother. Hmm.
So he actually does say quite a bit.
And then he
And
gets zapped.
yeah, well, he advises Carl that eventually the Crawl will make Carl turn on his own party, and he will
Hmm.
regret making it that far. No matter how close you are, we're all alone in the end, alone and broken with the choices we've had to make. Uh, this is a perspective, and Carl notes this a lot like many of the cookbook authors near the end of their
Yes.
like that make it really far. Many of them are just terribly broken by the circumstances. Some early on, others especially far on. So you begin to have some sympathy for Chaco if you didn't already. Uh, Carl browses the prize table. He asks Mordecai about a memorial crystal that he notes was on Imogen's neck. It is 100 hands, so no one can redeem it. But it is Imogen's most prized possession, and it is a memorial crystal, not a soul crystal. It is made from a fallen god. It is full of information and spells.
Ugh.
Carl takes a couple other prizes, includes it like it's just a bunch of prizes. It doesn't matter. There's one that has an implication for the next book, but it really doesn't matter. The pet show starts with a Brazilian crawler that we later learn is Osvaldo, who is a member of Team Flamengo and has a hawk named Gimli. Cute. Prepotente ends up going on stage with Bianca. They bleat and leave. Very funny.
He screams, and then Bianca sets the stage on fire.
Yep, it's very funny. It's there. There's not as many funny moments in this entire section. There are some, but it's just heavy.
It is heavy.
Yeah. We see Carl sees Vra trying to rally all the other hunters to like join her in attacking the crawlers, but they are like, we just want to go home. It's very
Let it
interesting.
go, bitch. Yeah.
Which is great because we know the hunters, as per the entire floor, aren't unified. They're not going to be as big a threat as they could be if they simply worked together, right, Carl?
Yep.
They could be so much more effective. Carl tells Donut to keep her performance with Mongo simple, and her over-the-top show begins. All right, we're back. We had some internet troubles. Shannon was kind enough to help me record the rest of this session the next day. And eagle-eyed viewers of the YouTube VOD will note that my hair is different. I had a haircut today.
I was going to say something.
Yeah, it's a lot shorter. We're going to a lake in Minnesota next week for like 5 days. And it's going to be hot. And I needed a haircut. It was getting too hot. All right, so chapter 70. Gotcha. Immediately after Carl has messaged Donut to keep her pet performance simple, her over-the-top show begins. We get a scene, a description of Mongo doing a bunch of stuff on stage. There is an enormous amount of lights. So there's loud, bright, and flashy stuff happening while Mongo is like leaping around. Donut is on her like headset talking about Mongolienses and like giving like an informative like lecture on the Mongolians and Mongo specific facts.
We've
Or the
got
pet
lady
show.
bongo backup dancers.
Yes.
Don't forget about that.
Yes.
Also, she used two of Carl's very expensive to make hobgoblin disco balls
Yes.
to
Yeah,
like make the smoke in her room. So like
it's
Louis is
insane.
doing the announcements. It's like it is as over the top as you can get. And like prior to the show, Carl was like, just this is Mongo, get off, get off, basically. He's like trying to tell her
Right.
to keep it low key, and she does not do any
No.
of that.
No. And all of this is happening to the song Anaconda,
Yeah.
which culminates in Mongo literally moonwalking across the stage as
Which
Donut
is the
like
best
meets
thing
him, and then
ever.
they leap away in like a synchronized routine. It's so Donut. It is just so Donut. It is everything about her, pet pad or like cat pageant, like life coming into view. It is perfect. It is beautiful. I know we talked about the television show of Dungeon Crawler Carl is been approved. I cannot wait for this scene. I cannot wait to see them
Yeah.
render this in CG. Yes.
It's oh god, it will be amazing. However they
Um,
do it, I don't care if it's like the worst CGI that's ever. I don't care if it's literally someone standing off stage and we don't even get to see it, and they're just describing the action as it happens, and we only get a close up of their face. Like even that would be amazing.
yes.
Because like
If we just see
yeah,
Carl and Elle's face as their jaws drop and they get just
yeah,
like we don't even see it, but Elle just goes like, did Mongo just moonwalk? And there's just like bright lights flashing on their faces.
yes.
That would be
Oh my
enough.
god.
Not only does everyone's jaw drop, some of the hunters start applauding.
Yeah,
It's the icing on the cake that like,
it's so
oh,
incredible.
Imogen brought did this spell to bring these enemies together to take off their masks and just be with one another. Donut is making that actually happen. There is a moment of everyone is just enjoying what is happening in front of them. And they
Dude.
forget their worries for a moment.
Whew. It is
Carl
incredibly impressive.
Carl messages Donut. I distinctly remember saying low key. Donut responds, of course, in all caps. That was low key, Carl. They told me I couldn't do my magic missile entrance we had planned. This was nothing compared to my Kesha act Miss Beatrice and I performed in Cleveland. Carl, you sat in a cage and let judges look at your butthole at your cat shows.
And then she says the best part though is that she's like, yeah, but we didn't do that at the bar at the after party afterwards. Grow up, Carl. Like I want to know
Oh,
what she and Miss Beatrice got into, like at the after parties that she had
it's
a choreographed
oh my
dance
god.
with Miss Beatrice. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, fantastic. A
Um,
moment of levity in a lot of like
it's
what is
yeah,
essentially very dark and like
yeah.
everything is going wrong
Yeah,
continually. Like
shit has hit
every
the
plan and
fan.
contingency, it really has. So yeah, like
Yeah,
this is just like a moment of levity that was absolutely needed.
right. I think it blew my mind that Carl would have allowed Donut to prepare such a production while like during their planning phase and getting ready with everything they had going on before arriving at the masquerade. Uh for her to have prepared all this is it's and for Carl to have known and allowed it blows my mind. I think yesterday before we realized the recording or the internet issues, you said like I don't think Carl knew.
No, I really don't because he wasn't there for any of the training, for any of like the choreography, like none of that. Like that was something that he wouldn't have had time to devote to watching to make sure that Donut was like towing the line, essentially. I think he was just like, Donut's got this. Donut's a show cat. Donut knows what the fuck she needs to do, and she can get on and get off, and it's fine. Um, so yeah, I think he was shocked.
Yeah, everyone was. Um And so Donut's performance and Mongo's performance come to a conclusion. The last crawler and pet to perform are Selrendal Gore, the dog person with the flamethrower backpack that Donut loathes, and her tummy acher, Garrett, are the last to perform.
He's basically like a slimy. He's like a giant slimy meatball that giggles like a little kid, and also has like a little tooth.
Yeah,
just like one tooth.
He's like, what if Pac-Man was real and disgusting?
Yeah.
Because he's just a big round mouth head.
You've nailed it. That's it.
Yeah.
With like a little tooth, and he's slimy, and he's great.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
And he's just adorable.
So we have our moment of levity, and we get back to everything going on. Imani is panicking.
Terror.
Yeah. Imani's freaking out. Carl's having to like pause to help her out. One thing that is going well, we learned Bomo has used his back door from the safe room to go to Zakao.
Yes.
And just finds piles of gear that the hunters took from the crawlers hunting them, but left behind because of their limited inventory, which pays off because like we just learned why they've left all this loot behind. They haven't been able to sell it because Laracos is still flooded. The markets are closed. The hunters had to leave it all behind. So they're looting it and saving it up for faction wars to give all their NPC army soldiers.
Perfect.
The Sledgy, meanwhile, reports that they are at the cave entrance to the underneath the palace, and that there are baby mantises spawning everywhere from Dewata. Mordecai clarifies what's going on. He's like, yeah, Dewata is like should have left this floor at this point, but gods cannot be kicked off of a floor and won't be sent back to the halls of ascendancy if they are mid casting a spell. And Dewata, because of her fucked up nature, birthing her like perpetual birthing is a spell. It's her god magic at work. So she will not leave, but this is all she can do.
Dewata is also Circe. So Circe has sponsored the god Dewata. Circe and Dewata are basically the same. So like, and just for to reiterate, gods can be sponsored in the same way that we saw the Maestro sponsor Grull, the god. And it's basically like they're if like in Adventure Time, whenever Finn jumps inside of Jake and he's wearing Jake like a suit of armor. So like whoever sponsors them, they're wearing the gods like a suit of armor.
Yeah, it's like gods are NPCs until someone takes control of them and is basically like piloting them, has full control over them, also has all of the gods' abilities.
Yeah, so Temer just joined, and a late bone is just as tasty. So
yes, a late bone. There's Nova Bean taking her bone. Oh,
Nova.
She dropped it. Oh, no, she didn't drop it. She got it. Yep. Good girl. Oh, she's lingering. She doesn't know what to do. She's very tired. It's been so hot.
It has been hot. She's like, what do I do now? I got the bone. Do I go?
Oh, and she takes off. There she goes. Bye-bye.
All right. Goodbye. Goodbye,
Thank you, Temer. So Mordecai's like, she is going to be able to stay on this floor because she's casting the spell. We know now, like, Circe has arrived. She is making all of these baby mantises because of Dewata's fucked up, like, is the goddess of nature that can birth crazy creatures. But this is all she can do. She will not stop casting. She will not stop making babies. But fortunately, we won't have to deal with any other god bullshit because that's all she can do while she's here. It's a really fucked up additional wrinkle to their plan. Not only do they have to deal with the hunters and Imogen and the elves, and now they also have to deal with an army of like low-level mantises. Samantha adds like she'll have as many babies as she wants. Her baby sprinkler will shoot them out until the very end of time if she wants.
Nasty.
It's so gross. It's at this
Type the
point,
grossest.
Raw notices that the security light that the slate moth had disabled is off, which will like lead her to believe that the crawlers are no longer restricted by the masquerade protections by the Goodwill Ballroom. Nothing comes of this, and I'm fine with that. It's like one of their many like contingencies and pursuits to make things happen in their way to try and go to the hunters into maybe thinking the crawlers are like safe and to getting a hunter to make a mistake, and or at least confuse them as to what's going on. Okay, cool. I'm fine that this doesn't pan out to be anything because I think this is the last time it's mentioned, and no hunter like ends up making a move and breaking the seal, or like miscalculating. But whatever. Um, but this actually does pay off as a great distraction because Carl isn't noticing something else that is developing, but Louis does. He notices that Florin has approached and is talking to Lucia. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. We have been, trying to herd cats and stop them from,
Yes.
keep Katya away from Eva, keep Florin away from Lucia, keep the hunters away from Lucia. Well, here is Florin, and so it's just like, okay, is this the shoe about to drop? The chapter ends, and we pick up chapter 71 with Florin, to everybody's surprise, hugging Lucia, like
Yeah,
comforting her, talking to her, and embracing her.
dude.
They have like a little dialogue. Florin comes over and tells the group, yeah, Lucia, her head is full of children, and a voice comes out of Lucia's mouth with a completely different accent than the one we've heard before. Confirming this, a Dutch accent through Lucia's mouth says, I want my mom.
Oh, yeah, that
Oh,
was like, yeah, particularly brutal. Like so from this interaction and like the few sentences that follow it, she's got a Dutch accent. Like he Florin then is like they're all in there. He kind of shouts out, like, or not shouts out, but he's like they're all in there. So like from that, and like all of these sort of things have been in the writing from the beginning and every interaction we've had with Lucia, in that like she is just she's off her rocker. Her personality keeps changing. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on with her. Sometimes she's scared. Sometimes she's a fucking
yeah,
nightmare. Some like or she just doesn't seem sane. So like either she's a little girl who has multiple personality disorder, or she's a lot of little kids who were all living inside of Lucia Marr all at the same time.
yeah,
So what I took from this and like just extrapolated and like built on it was like, okay, all little kids who entered the dungeon who weren't old enough to participate in the crawl, they're
right.
supposed to be in like a kinder care kind of a scenario, like where they're taken the same way with pregnant women. They're like taken elsewhere, they're protected until the crawl ends. But in this instance, Lucia is like
Yeah,
housing them. They all live inside of her,
right.
and she is unstable. And it probably has something to do with her dog,
Yeah,
just based
it's
on the next passage that follows.
right.
So,
Yeah. So Florin is like, so Lucia immediately reverts back to like her typical classic asshole personality, threatens Donut. Florin brings up, I think the surviving dog, I think it's Cece, or they killed Gustavo,
yes,
or they killed yeah.
no, they killed Cece.
They
So there
killed
was
Cece, so
Cece
the
and
remaining one is
Gustavo.
Gustavo 3.
Correct.
Is like somehow controlling Lucia, even though like Lucia doesn't seem to be like necessarily being controlled. I still don't quite understand what's going on with that. Um, but it's very confusing. Carl immediately reaches out to Zev, who I think at one point explained that maybe that they haven't explained this yet. I don't remember if they've explained this yet, but they're like pregnant women and children below the age of maturity, which is determined on a species by species basis, um, are not allowed in the dungeon, and so there should not be children in the dungeon. Carl reaches out
Right.
to Zeb to be like, "What the fuck? I thought you said there wouldn't be any kids here."
Yep.
And this is one of those moments, and I love when Zeb does this because it just like really adds to her character and is a good way to like slow down, the plot development and information gathering that we really want, and frustrates the reader, frustrates the main character, and frustrates the story. She tells Carl, "It's complicated and you don't have to get involved with everything, Carl. Drop it," is basically what she says. And it's one of the few times where she's just like, "I'm not telling you, back
Yeah.
off."
This has
uh
nothing to do with you. But now, of course, Carl being Carl, he's like, oh no, that doesn't fly.
right.
I will get involved because I'm Captain Savaho and I must.
Yeah.
So
Captain Sava.
he can't help himself.
Yeah. It's really ironic. Like Carl is so pissed off that Florin, who is the one we expected to be like enraged at Lucia Marr, who killed,
Yes.
like, was responsible for killing his girlfriend, Ifechi. Florin is the one to ask Carl, "Hey, are you okay? You're as red as a tomato." He says, "You're red as a tomato. You feeling okay, mate?"
Yep.
And that is when suddenly Carl feels a weight on a familiar weight on his shoulder, but it's not a familiar person. Uh, it is in fact Ferdinand, who says, "Yeah, mate, you feeling okay?" in his like ass. We haven't really given a lot of Ferdinand's
He
quotes
has
here. He's so
like
shitty. He's so
he is so
smarmy.
shitty.
They better get Joel McHale to play him.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
That would be
He
so
has
good.
he's described as having kind of like he almost has like a similar accent to Quasar, but
Oh,
maybe
really?
not as like slimy, but the same kind of accent. Like he's very like New Jersey, New York. Like but his accent and his voice has a much deeper register and it's more gravelly. Like he sounds like he smokes 3 packs a day and he's just
Right,
a real
because he's meant
jerk.
to be the like
The
the
bad boy.
feral bad boy
Yeah.
cat. Yeah, that's like knocking up all the other cats and is like an outdoor
One
cat. Yeah,
hundo.
yeah, yeah, I remember.
So I
That's
don't know if you
great.
checked your Instagram earlier, but I did send you an
Oh.
image of some really fantastic artwork that actually portrays this scene. And I hope you pull it up and give credit to
Let me
the
look. Oh my God, you did
artist.
send me a lot of things.
It's I know, I'm sorry. I can't help it. I'm not sorry. Why did I apologize? It doesn't matter.
Oh
But that
my
one, the
God.
last one that I sent you is this whole scene.
Hang on. I can pull this up for the viewers,
Do
I
it.
think.
Yeah.
Uh so let me here. I have my notes on screen, but I'm just gonna like pull up my display cap. Look at this photo. It is
Yeah. Look at him.
this is way too handsome, Carl. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he's very pretty.
it is a beautiful donut, and then Ferdinand, who isn't as scruffy looking in this photo as I expected, but he has this. I know
It's
in
Carl.
when we
Yeah.
see him, it is described. His hat is described. It's like this
Like a
caricaturized, like
Stormy hat.
Arabian,
Yes.
head cover with the plume in the front.
The feather.
My
Yeah.
understanding is that this feather should be like the size of him. The
Yes.
feather should be enormous, and this picture is not doing it justice.
But we also
Um,
get Donut in her sunglasses with her tiara and her
it's
butterfly charm. Like she should be a little more calico, but that's
This
okay.
is
Like I
great.
love
This
that
is
like they're
still
just
great.
standing on his shoulders and he's like, what the fuck?
Yes, thank you VOGT Paintings for this beautiful Butcher's
Absolutely. Like
Masquerade image.
how gorgeous.
Um,
Yeah,
and
I love
and
it.
then yeah, okay. This is really good.
I'm so
So
glad you read that.
Um, so I love that like we get this interruption with okay, so they're talking about this Lucia Marr and child stuff, and suddenly it is interrupted with Ferdinand being smarmy, repeating what Lauren has just said. and it's just a great way to like stop that topic and move on to Ferdinand's stuff. It's just very well written, because immediately Carl texts Samantha, Ferdinand is distracted, go, go, go. And that is how we end the chapter. So like this sudden shocking revelation of Ferdinand is here, is a part of their plan. It just, a lot happens very quickly and we're brought back into the main plot. Which is great because we weren't going to get any answers on what's going on with Lucia. But of course, everything is now more complicated by that fact, because they stated one of their goals. We talked about this. One of their like 6-7 goals was kill Lucia Marr. That we are pivoting on very clearly, because we don't know how many children's identities, in her head. So very good. We start with at the start of chapter 72, we kind of have like a little bit of a flashback to when Louis noticed all of the HVAC system in the like 3D diagram they were going over with Edgar the tortoise. And Louis, we then go to Louis's next progression in realizing what's going on. He goes, "Oh, I had a buddy who lived with his grandma who was a cat lady. She had someone install all of these like cat tunnels in her house so the cat could quickly and easily move around their multi-floor house." And then someone else is like, "Oh yeah, Ferdinand is a pervert. Of course they would have ways for him to get around the castle through a tunnel system." So that's what it is. It's a tunnel system, and that's why Carl has texted Samantha, who is also cat-sized, Ferdinand is distracted, go, go, go. So like everything happens very quickly, but snaps into frame, and a quick picture is painted very quickly. It's great. So Ferdinand, who is in the throne, Ferdinand is in the throne room, and can land on Carl, but Carl tries to touch him and like phases through him. Ferdinand, I think, is in the Queen's ballroom where there are no such restrictions. He can interact with them. However, going back to our photo, everyone starts making fun. Oh, not that one. Everyone starts making fun of Ferdinand's hat. Like a bunch of crawlers start making fun of him, which is just the funniest reaction to his sudden appearance.
But Donut uses this as an opportunity to flex her love vampire skill.
Yes.
Which is like as high as it can possibly go. Her charisma is, oh God, it's honestly terrifying.
I think they artificially.
I love your hat. Yeah, they did. They inflated
artificially boost her charisma using a number of like abilities and items, and like the new temporary tiara that they got. And it's like a bunch of the items from the sponsorship boxes come together to boost her charisma to, I think, over 300. As a reminder, like Carl has only just gotten his strength over 100, and Donut had gotten her charisma over 100 a little while ago, but they've boosted it to over 300. And it's amazing. Ferdinand becomes completely enthralled with Donut, like more so than we've seen any other enthrallment. And yet Ferdinand, and Carl like notes this, Ferdinand is still yet somehow a complete narcissist while being obsessed with Donut. It's really funny.
He's like, yeah, you it's basically like, you want to ride the bull, you got to put up with the horns, babe, or something to that effect.
Yeah, and he starts humping Carl's head,
the side of his head. It's amazing.
It's so weird and gross. It's really good. And it's like another really great, like funny and like light moment, which I think is really important that we hit this like really like silly caricature moment, because it starts really hitting the fan outside. Crawlers, there's like a group of crawlers led by, I don't remember what this guy's name is off the top of my head. I have it in my notes later.
Shadow's here.
Oh, hey, Shadow. Oh, is he?
Yeah, he
I
was.
don't see a message from Shadow. Maybe.
No, but I'm creeping on
Okay.
the list, and I saw that he had
You're
joined.
you're a
So
little pervert like Ferdinand.
yeah,
Yeah.
what
Uh
what was it about me that like tipped it off? I wonder that I'm a pervert. What was it?
Hey, Shadow. So there's another crawler we haven't really interacted with a lot, who's like leading a group of crawlers outside to engage with the elves, like the guards, uh, as well as the now army of baby mantises. So like all of these groups are descending on the castle and fighting and attacking it from the outside. It becomes like a massive lethal clusterfuck of combat. And meanwhile, all of our top crawlers who usually would like handle things are all inside, unable to participate directly. Um, and we get like a scene of all of our like named crawlers from the guild are like getting stretched really thin, managing Lucia from breaking the seal and keeping her away from the hunters who are antagonizing her. They're keeping an eye on Signet. Samantha, who had promised she had memorized the tunnel system, informs them that, of course, I didn't memorize it. Did you see that map? And so, like, they're having like to assign Louis to like get her, like, navigate
Coach her
her.
to the right place.
They're
Yeah.
coaching the changelings on how to drive the Twister because Louis and Fyrus are here and not outside with the Twister. Uh, as they are suddenly being swarmed on the Twister by the mantises, the changelings all like turn into mantises themselves, and it's like a clusterfuck of combat, and they have to abandon the Twister.
The sludge, it
It's
can't tell
yeah, it's yeah,
who is
sludgy.
a changeling and
Yeah,
who is an actual mantis and who is an elf. It's like they're
it's
changing mid battle and it's just the fighting. It's pandemonium, and
it is
like Sludge
pandemonium.
is giving updates to Carl like as it's happening, and he's like, I take out tower, I crash Twister, and
Yeah, yeah,
uh and Louis is like, don't crash the Twister. Like
uh-huh, yeah.
he's very invested. So like it's getting more intense outside, but like inside the ballroom, it's tense, but in a different way. It's not action tense at this point. It's just we know something bad is going
Yeah.
to happen,
It's like this, like everything is chaos outside and we wish we could be there to impact it because we know we could like so easily directly impact what's going on outside. But meanwhile, we're waiting inside for a shoe to drop and all of our plans have gone to shit and we don't know what we're going to do in here. It's crazy. Carl is like at this point expecting the seal to break and for them all to be attacked. He starts spiraling and tells Donut like, we're gonna like the seal's gonna get broken. You have to get out. You have to survive. We will all try and cover you, and we'll try and follow you the best we can. But you have the best chance of survival. Um, Ferdinand decides he's like gonna go meet them in their ballroom and starts heading through the ducts while Samantha is in there. Somehow Ferdinand misses Samantha, and it's because he's carrying his massive hat in his mouth while he runs through the ducts, which is really funny. And then Samantha reaches the control room to turn off the protections or the restrictions, which are also protections. And she reveals that she doesn't have the potion that Carl, quote, rudely shoved up there to allow her to take out the guards. And Carl's just like, oh, she didn't bring it. She won't be able to deal with the guards. It's over. And he like resigns himself that their plans are a bust. And then Samantha reveals another unwelcome truth that she is pissed off because the guards are already dead. Oh, okay. She doesn't have to kill the guards. Oh, wait, why are they dead? She's upset because she had been promised that she'd get to kill the guards in the control room. So this is a good thing for them, maybe? It's unclear. And then suddenly Queen Imogen
yeah.
appears to just put a cherry on top. She starts reprimanding Ferdinand, who has now arrived in the crawler ballroom. And with her arrival, the spell like completely seals everyone within their rooms, and no one may leave at this point, including her and Ferdinand. Like everyone is restricted to the ballroom that they are in. Right as everything is just not going as it should. Okay. So much to cover here. Chapter 73 is a really big one. I have a lot of notes on this chapter. We get an excerpt from the plan. This is another one of those like that was copy and pasted from the authorship or the coffee shop author kit that the plan Carl was posting. And it's talking about the nature of like how NPCs can become enchanted by high charisma. And he talks about how there's a difference between like enchantment via your stats and then magically enchanting someone with like spells. And this is when it's revealed like they made Donut use the charm animal potion that they received, and that the note said don't use on Kiwi, I think.
No, it was don't use on Tina. They didn't. They wanted them to use them on Kiwi, but don't use them on Tina.
Yeah, so they've used charm animal on Ferdinand, meaning that he is magically enchanted. He becomes Donut's minion. And their plan was their plan is to make Ferdinand their minion and hopefully, quote, make the showrunners regret their decision to try and pit him against Donut. And basically, like, rather than, them get to use Ferdinand against Donut, Donut will use Ferdinand against them. But their problem is that if he is in their problem now is that he is not in the Queen's chambers. He is no longer in the Queen's ballroom or throne room where he can directly fight the Queen, and they can use that enthrallment to their benefit. He's now here, and that's a problem. Like, he's with them. And can't really do anything. He has the same problem now that they'll have, which is they can't hurt Imogen. We cut to the present where Imogen has just arrived. It is clear based on the blood on her dress that she has been outside fighting and killing some of Carl's allies. She reaches out her hand and just force pulls Carl across the room, demonstrating her all powerful strength. And she starts confronting Carl about ruining her spell, but states, I can't do anything to hurt you. And I believe it's Katya immediately starts, she takes one of their size up potions and starts like getting all of Imogen's stats, her mana, which is apparently temporarily infinite, and just looking at her list of spells, which is pages long. This is when Carl reaches out to the crawler leading their strike force outside, a crawler named Gideon. He's like, watch out, and it's revealed Gideon is dead. And this is when Carl is, I think, kind of hits his lowest. He literally says out loud to Imogen, the sink is running. I said, we're not supposed to let it run. As his river in his mind screams, and Imogen is just like, what? This is Carl like losing he's
losing it. Yeah, he's losing the beat. He's not. Yeah, absolutely.
He centers himself with his mantra, you will not break me. Sledge in the chat, we feel an explosion, or no, we don't feel this yet. Sledge is like, I'm gonna need to crash the Twister, quote, like helicopter in game Grand Theft Auto, which he's been playing with Sledgy in the safe room all floor. They have bombs on the bottom of the Twister. Their goal is to take out the towers of the castle. And Sledge is like, I need to do this. Louis is freaking out. He loves the Twister. Sledgy responds, and he's basically parroting Carl. He says, surviving is winning, Louis. Everything else is bullshit. Like, Sledgy says that to Louis, and like, those are Carl's words. I think Carl
He's
at one
catching
point
on.
also is like telling everyone like if you're gonna go out big, and like
Yeah.
this is Sledgy following through on that. Imogen, super pissed off, just like sits down and she's like, on with the talent show. And so the talent show begins. While a group of hunters, including Bra, start surrounding Lucia. It looks like they are trying to get her to break the seal of nonviolence so that they can attack everyone. And Samantha revealed while this is happening that the hunters seem to have killed all of the guards in the control room and disabled the limitations for the hunters. So the hunters are free to act, and they're trying to get Lucia to break the seal so that they can then start killing crawlers. But Samantha manages to turn the limitations off for the crawlers and back on for the hunters. Meanwhile, Carl realizes that Vra and her mother are really just her mother is filling the castle with mantises who are like descending on the control room to take control back. She tells Samantha that Dewata will likely be heading her way. Chaos like is literally hitting an apex everywhere. Carl's plans are utterly falling apart. The groups outside are struggling and like seems like they're all gonna die. Carl's heart is sinking, and he literally starts thinking about like, do I just pull the doomsday scenario to end everything and just ensure all the hunters die as kind of like
do
a
I
last
kill all my
statement?
friends? Do I kill Donut? Do I kill Prepotente and myself? And like just to ensure that I keep this promise, right? Like it's a dark fucking
it's
fucking
really
moment.
dark. Yeah, this is what I was talking about at the start, is like there's so much action, but there's just these really dark moments with the characters, and Carl really hits a low point here.
It's but Samantha comes in fucking clutch.
Yes. So I actually have a quote of like Carl from his like descent into darkness. So he's like thinking about pulling the doomsday scenario, and he says, I closed my eyes for a second, just a second, and I pretended like everything was all right. The world had never ended. My mother and I had never left Texas. Ooh, that's where we're going here. I was outside right now, sitting in the shade of a tree I'd planted years before in his grandparents' house. Everyone here, all my friends, never met each other under these horrific circumstances. Donut was fat and happy, sitting in her cat tree somewhere warm, growling at a cocker spaniel. I'd never heard the water running through the pipes or gone down into the basement to investigate the noise. I'd never found the note followed by my mother a minute later. I let the dream live within me just for a second, and I returned to the chat. This is like, this is Carl has hit such a low point that we are learning about how his mother died and how he found her. She hung herself on the pipes of their basement.
In the basement, and that's okay. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm like,
no, you go.
It's so enormous. Okay, and like this was something that I had sent to you earlier. Like I have read this book. I've read this book a dozen, maybe half a dozen times would be fair to say. I've read it like a lot. But like this is the first time that like I glommed on to this particular passage because like we've been talking a lot about the river and like the water that's like rushing in his mind over and over. And it just takes him because like, okay, so the river obviously in this moment is the water that he heard rushing in the basement going through the pipes. His mother hung herself on the pipes in the basement. The pipes burst. And like in his mind, this river is born out of these rushing pipes from the first, maybe like the most, maybe not the first traumatic event, but like the most important traumatic event in his life. Like that's where the river comes from. It stems from this rushing pipe in his fucking mind. So like this was the first time because we've been talking about the river so much, and I hadn't really spent a lot of time like thinking about it. I was just like, okay, the river is this thing that he jumps into, and he's like, and it's like it's chaos, and he's just got this thing. It's like he's going crazy, but like this passage, I was like, holy shit, this is big. This is like, this is it. This is
Yeah.
the
I've
origin story for
I've
the river.
I've talked about how like my theory of the river is like it's Carl's fight response, like
Yeah.
you know, an amygdala hijack essentially.
Hmm.
Like that moment when Carl discovers his mother, his like only form of protection against a like oppressive and um abusive, almost abusive, I mean abusive
It is
father.
abusive,
Like
yeah.
yeah, like she was his form of protection, and the moment of him realizing that like sense of safety and security, like what little it offered, like being gone, like and
Well,
associating that with the sound of the rushing water when he found her, like to me they're connected. And so like I always feel like when Carl is like, I don't know what to do, I need to figure this out, and he
yeah.
senses and hears the river, it's like that is his fight response activating, like for
So,
better or
not
worse.
she was trying to protect him. She was trying to set him free. And one of the things that we learned about in an earlier book also was not only did she like kill herself, but she tried to kill his
Yes.
father in that same with the same act. Maybe she poisoned him. I don't know how she tried to kill him. I don't remember. Maybe we'll get to that in another book. But like she tried to kill his father and kill herself at the same time. And she was trying to give him peace and freedom and to break the cycle so that he could like live free from her shit and his shit.
Right.
But
Yeah.
in the act, left him alone with his abuser.
Yeah. We also know no, we don't. Oh no, this is sorry, never mind. This is for next book. I had a thought.
Understood. Fair
It's for
enough. Fair
next.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
like huge.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you for like reading that passage. I just like it was just one, it was the first time that I was like, "Oh my God, I must have like skimmed past it or read it and disregarded it and now I'm just like
Yeah.
this is very big." So,
Yeah. So Carl has this like reflection on point on like the lowest moment of his life before the crawl, as he's having like his
yeah.
lowest point in the crawl. And he starts like thinking to himself, like this is all my fault, I should have done things differently, you know, I should have anticipated these things, I this is all my responsibility, and he's like he's loading it all on himself, that like all of their
Yeah.
problems, everything going wrong is his fault,
All
and
their
he like
deaths come down to him.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he decides like I need to break the seal myself in order to give everyone else a chance to survive, because like we I can't wait to be attacked, I can't wait for the hunters to make Lucia do it, and he decides this, and like a sense of calm and peace washed over him amid
Yeah.
the river flow. Like again, this is like the river is there whether he knows his plan or not sometimes, it seems, and so I think it is like it feels like that amygdala hijack of like I am like animated by my like deep early evolutionary human brain power
Yep.
lighting up. That's what it feels like to me anyway. But he decides this and becomes like okay with that. He accepts what he needs to do, and then suddenly Signet, Serena Signet appears. She We learn that she is now basically completely awakened,
Yeah.
to her nature as an NPC and what is going on from talking with Empress Donadia, who and she tells Carl that he is just like her. Like she hears him out, and she's like, Carl, it doesn't sound like this is your fault. Like me, you're someone dancing at the end of a string, like a marionette. Like we are all
Hmm.
cogs in the machine. And it's not your fault, she tells him. Um, and then and then she asks Carl, like, why did you bring Tina here? Why did you bring that poor girl here?
Yes.
By the
Yeah.
way. because like this seems to be like bothering her, given like her new understanding of what's going on. She's like, why did you bother to bring this poor girl here? And he's like, well, we've got a quest. And she's like, what's that? And he's like, oh, well, we need to give her what she wants. We needed to get her this recital. And she's like, oh, Carl, she doesn't want to dance. She wants her mother back. And I, even now, just saying that, I get chills, because it's like,
Right?
that's what Carl
Right?
wants.
It's
That's
like,
what
oh,
Serena
God.
wants. That's what Tina wants. They are
Yeah.
all the unhinged child who
Oh my
wants their mother
God.
back.
It's so good. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yes.
yeah, Serena talks about, and we've learned about Serena's backstory of how like her mother was going to give up control of the Naiad castle, and after Serena's father died, and Imogen attacked them all and killed the mother in order to like seize control. And it's just ironic because Serena's mother was going to give it all up anyway, and Serena misses her mother, which that fact binds her and Carl and Tina and so many others here. And ironically, on stage, a crawler for the talent show begins to play Wonderwall, which Donut in the chat says, oh my God, too. Samantha, meanwhile, is trying to stop the mantises from being birthed by crawling up to Wada's vagina with a soul crystal that she explodes, and we feel an eruption. Okay. And then we cut back to Signet, who, fueled by anger that Donatia made the comment like, oh yeah, you're an NPC, your backstory, your family isn't real. Signet goes, oh, Carl, she is really pissing me off. She tells Carl that Signet, is going to go forward with her own plan and will be summoning her ink army from her tattoos. And it is revealed that in order to do this, as we know and have seen before, there needs to be a sacrifice. There needs to be someone to kill the sacrifice, and there needs to be Serena to cast the spell. But the spell can be cast while all three are the same person. Serena informs us that she intends to sacrifice herself to break the seal, allow the crawlers to act, and summon her army at their full power. Which is just like a very powerful moment. And it comes right when we realize like, oh, Serena and Carl are like the same. They've suffered similar trauma. Maybe Signet didn't literally suffer it, but the memories were implanted in her. And the same sacrifice that Carl was just about to make, Serena offers to do herself. The sledge and the changelings, a moment away from death, somehow miraculously make it in the castle as Signet begins to cast her spell. And this huge, powerful chapter ends as Carl states in the chat to all of the other crawlers, we are back in business. Mm-hmm. And for the first moment in many, many chapters, it feels like things are turning in their direction again.
Yes, and they're like, he's like, we could win.
Yeah, and it's all because like Samantha has somehow like negated the Cersei Dewata wild card, and Serena Signet is stepping up in a way.
Herself.
Yeah, like we were expecting Signet to be a wild card to fuck up the plan for the third party storyline to fuck them over in a glorious way for the ratings. But because they woke up Signet and she's not listening to any commands that they're sending her or influence that they're placing on her, she is acting as herself.
This is another instance of an NPC sacrificing themselves for Carl and like what they intuit and realize is the greater good. Because they realize that like she's like, you know what? This sucks. I'm gonna ruin my sister's boon. None of this is real anyway. If this can give them a leg up, and like essentially like fuck the patriarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna do it. And like she's just like, if my death can serve a purpose because my life up to this point hasn't,
Yeah.
in so many, like essentially because she's like, I was told I wasn't real, my mother wasn't real, the creatures on my skin aren't real, they
Yeah.
never existed, they're not, like she's just like, you know what, no,
Yeah.
Carl's real. He can
Um,
fix this. So I'm like,
yeah.
oh, it was such a, it was. And P.S. Can we just like how did Samantha shove herself up Duwata's baby sprinkler?
I mean, she's had a lot of stuff shoved up her nussy lately, so I think she's kind of familiar with the concept of getting up there.
Jeez, 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 la fucking wheeze. That's anyway. Yeah, I just had to very briefly pause on
G's
that.
G's fucking Louis.
Yeah, yeah.
um
Anyway, go
okay, so
ahead.
chapter 74, Donut like at this point uses her charm potion. Like she had enthralled Ferdinand with her high charisma, but she uses the potion. This is when Ferdinand becomes her minion. He joins the party. And right as Donut begins her talent show performance. Um, this chapter also gives me chills. Uh, I am singing a song. My mother used to sing this to me. It's called All Eyes on Me. Um, and we learn through Carl's perspective that this is a song that Beatrice would like come home drunk and like pick up Donut and like sing with her in, like, which feels very raw and emotional because like a drunk emotional bee feels like a vulnerable real bee, and that like
Yes.
her feelings towards Donut were real in those moments and genuine and authentic, and there was love in that fucked up relationship, even
Yeah.
though B betrayed Donut later. And like even if Donut doesn't care for B anymore, like this was an important memory to her. Um,
One of the lyrics in this made up ridiculous song is like, I never would have let you win. Meaning, like I took that to mean like she never would have treated Donut as a show cat. She never would have treated her like as a resource, as a commodity. She should,
right.
like, I do think that she loved Donut. Like
Yeah.
Donut was her little baby, you know? But because she was in enmeshed in that life of like the show cat circuit and making as much money as she could, treating Donut as a commodity. Like I think that when she was drunk, you're right. Like
Yeah.
these real emotions came out, and it's a very sad song. It's a really
Yeah.
sad song if
It's
you like look at the lyrics. Fucked up.
Yeah, it's also really cute because apparently the Popov brothers had a guitar that they found, which they gave to
Yeah.
Brittany, who is strumming for like and playing an acoustic background to Donut singing.
Yeah.
It's like a sad minor tune, and it's like very full and lush. Carl describes the lyrics: good girl, you're a good girl, my princess, you're like a root beer float, oh yes, oh yes, I'd take it all back and never let you in, I wouldn't do it all over again, I love you, I'm sorry, my princess, all eyes on me, all eyes on me. It's like really like a strange, song that I think I don't know if like did B make it up or
Yeah, it's not
okay.
based in any sort of like real song,
Yeah.
but it's the same kind of songs that I sing to my cat when she's
Yeah.
being like a little shithead and she just wants me to pick her up and hold her. So like I pick her up and hold her,
Yeah.
and then I'll sing songs to her about how she's my little like booper snoot, she's my little like beanies queen
Yeah.
and I love her. Even when she's being a little shithead, I love her. Like so like, and I sing this to her because I'm unhinged and all cat owners make up songs for their cats.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a real thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not based in reality on any tune.
This also gives us a moment into Carl's like emotional state. He's
Yes.
already feeling so like at his limit that we get, I think I made a comment an episode or two ago where I was like, yeah, we never see Carl sad. And I'm realizing I was wrong because he says, Her voice soared. It was one of the most beautiful things I had ever heard. The lyrics didn't make any damn sense, but she sang them with such sad longing. It felt as if a
Yeah.
hand had reached into my chest and wrenched at my heart. The spotlight
And
faded. And then Elle makes a comment about how Donut's getting better at bard singing. And not only is this just a song, this is the sheet music that they received in one of the benefactor
oh
boxes.
yeah.
This is also a spell called All Eyes on Me. It is the same namesake.
Yep.
And it charms everyone in the room, forcing everyone to,
Even
including
Carl,
the crawlers, the hunters, Imogen, Donatia, everyone. I think it accepts Signet, Carl notes, for some reason.
Yeah.
Everyone is charmed to pay attention to her while she is singing. And this allows Signet to like do her ramp up of casting the spell uninterrupted.
Yeah.
And then there is a second part to the performance. Tina begins dancing on the stage. The giant Allosaurus in a pink tutu with a little magic wand that we saw had fizzled out has now been recharged using one of the other benefactor box items, a scroll of wand recharge.
Yep.
And Tina uses the wand and casts another spell on everyone, another sort of charm, making everyone happy and hopeful and genuinely glad to be there. And so everyone is like enthralled in multiple ways, and this works really well because it's like Donut doing her thing, like being like a performer. It's Tina fulfilling her quest to dance because they thought that's what she wanted. And like they get to use her wand to do something almost innocuous, but it lands because they weren't expecting Signet to be here doing this thing. They were expecting to be able to take advantage of this moment once the controls were turned off to attack. They didn't realize that the Butcher's Masquerade was a spell that would send whoever broke it, the seal, to the nothing. And so like everything that they thought was going to work wasn't going to work, but then Signet is making it work. And it's all coming together in a way they weren't expecting, which is like,
oh my God.
All of this was really complicated and challenging to follow, but it builds to this moment of like, it is going to work. The plan is a go. Signet has some really amazing like farewell lines to Carl about like family and like final wishes. She then says some farewell lines to Imogen where she's like, you know, my mother was actually going to give up the throne, you bitch. Like this was all for nothing, you piece of shit. She does. It's much more sophisticated than that. And then she uses herself as the blood sacrifice, and all of her tattoos not only become the elementals, they are all given life again. That is the full potential of the spell being realized. All of her tattoo ink elementals come to life. They are given permanent life as Signet dies. Not as Signet dies necessarily. Well, I think she actually does have to die as a result of her spell. But
she
first,
slits her own throat.
yeah, she slits her own throat. But then also the nothing opens up and arms grab her and pull her through as the seal to the masquerade is broken. The protections, which are not a part of the spell, but a part of the castle, are now benefiting the crawlers and not and harming the hunters, and not Queen Imogen isn't restricted because she isn't being restricted by that.
She's a country boss. She plays by her own rules.
Right.
She was
but if she
already
had attacked first, I think Imogen technically would have been pulled into the nothing, and that's what was preventing her from doing anything. But the castle protections weren't hindering her. And with all of this out of the way, we get Sledgy in the chat stating, I'm beginning to cast the spell. It will take 5 minutes.
From this point onward,
it's nuts.
It goes fucking bug nuts. It's
Yeah.
great. It just
Yeah.
it's just all
We
combat.
we get Carl pulling out the Ring of Divine Suffering and marking Vra, which is a bold play. Now he cannot
Yeah.
heal and she is targeted. And Carl texts everyone now as the chapter ends. And it's just this amazing moment where like we would expect that if Signet had started casting this spell and all of the charming wasn't happening, we wouldn't be able, like, the elves would intervene, someone would attack Signet and stop her. And we wouldn't have all of these like moments of the good guys getting their like catharsis and powerful moments of expression and just like as like we get to have this like really emotionally powerful character moment while the tables are getting ready to turn or at least flip over. And all the enemies can't do anything because of the magic that Matt Dinniman has written all of this build up to. Why are they not able to like stop them in this moment?
It's like
Yeah,
it is like a pressure cooker.
yeah,
And the lid just blew the fuck off.
yeah.
Basically. And it's just chaos.
Yes. Chapter 75 as like all this really powerfully emotional moment ends, and it's one of the last big emotional moments. There's some other ones, but like now we're getting into the full combat here. Many things happened at once. Sickum, Donut cried, is how chapter 75 begins, which is just glorious. The Velociraptor shrieked as one and leaped off the stage and landed amongst the surprised hunters. A raptor dressed as a pufferfish sailed across the room, landing atop a draconian and savagely ripping at his neck, decapitating him. At the same moment, Mongo and Kiwi fell upon Vra, who screamed in rage as the hunters fled and died. Surprise, motherfuckers, Samantha yelled. Okay.
So good.
Okay, there's a couple things happening at a couple different levels here. So we get the glorious Donut crying sickum as everything just goes to shit.
Yeah.
Which is powerful and it feels good after chapters and chapters of everything's going to go wrong.
Yes.
We also get Raw being attacked by Mongo and Kiwi, which is brutal because it's like, oh, the big bad isn't even being attacked by Donut or Carl. It's our like, you know, B teamers are descending
Carl
upon
couldn't
Raw.
attack her directly.
That's
because
true.
She was a worshiper of Grohl.
Right, and this also reminds us they can't interact because they're in different ballrooms. So how can Mongo and Kiwi leap off the stage and attack Vra? Well, we've heard there's been little crumbs sprinkled in there where Donut was texting Carl earlier about like, oh, how is the stage downstairs? Well, there's a catwalk in the way. Is that going to be a problem for your spell? No, shouldn't be a problem. It's just one catwalk. And it's like, what did that mean? Well, it turns out, and part of the reason why this map is important is because the servant ballroom where they are doing their performances from is directly below the hunter ballroom.
Yeah.
Donut has the whole spell. He can traverse. And apparently when the curtains were drawn, he ascended. And because the stages all on every floor show the same thing, the hunters didn't realize Donut was in the room with them.
Was in there
and
with
this
them.
Is their opening attack. It is, they caught them so off guard. It's beautiful. Yeah, all out battle ensues. Carl literally says at one point, chaos reigned. As the Gore. Oh, this is actually one of the least important details, but Dewata gets knocked out, but is still birthing mantises in a room that is like filling up with mantis corpses and ooze and guts, and is like breaking through both the ballrooms to below to the hunter ballroom and above through the floor of the crawler ballroom. It's creepy.
Nasty.
Anyway,
fucking nasty.
Carl at one point says like we basically will have a minute before Imogen gets control of the situation, which is basically like we have a timer to like do
Yeah.
everything we got to do, which adds pressure to the scene. Ferdinand jumps to protect Donut, who doesn't really need it, and it's hilarious because he says something smarmy. Meanwhile, Florin is actively protecting a cowering Lucia, which feels very powerful. Signet's tattoos at this point we learn are like completely alive, and they all start attacking. Meanwhile, a flesh golem of Signet's mother is also created. It's like a not quite alive, like homunculus body that Carl immediately
Yeah.
takes into his inventory to give as a body to Samantha later. Donut uses her I take it all back potion to revert Kiwi into her Ursine self. She is a Remember how Kiwi and Mungo were doing it? Well, now she's not a pregnant Mungo, she's a pregnant Ursine,
Oh
which is
yeah.
a can of worms that we get to open later. Um,
Oh god, that's so
Tina
gross. I can't wait.
Tina realizes that Kiwi is her mother. The recital quest is complete because it wasn't a recital she wanted, it was her mother. And Tina realizes her mother is there. The sledge finishes casting Zerzura, and suddenly the castle and all the NPCs are teleported away, leaving the crawlers, the hunters, and Imogen and the elves. Remember how they were distributing all those potions earlier that Eva tried to fuck them over? Well, they dispersed all the potions they needed, and they were Featherfall potions because the ground has fallen out from beneath them. There's no castle anymore. And it's just like this moment of holy shit, their plan came together. It's great. Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah, it's not quite triumphant, but it feels like, oh shit, all of this planning is really coming together. And having seen them work together to hunt the hunters, to hunt the shambling corpses, like we know that when they plan stuff and it comes together, they are really effective as a group. So in ways that have never been seen before in the crawl. So chapter 76 starts. They're frozen in air as like the AI is basically like rendering everything that's going on. It's like a kind of like a freeze screen as the scene changes.
And we get a boss battle.
Yeah. So to further frame the scene, the bramble is like everywhere in all directions, like within 100 feet everywhere, as the AI begins to announce a boss battle cage fight extreme 4-way battle between
with
the crawlers
as the cage.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it's really nice imagery. It's like the AI takes several pages as they're like to state what's going on and describing each group, while Carl is like reflecting on what's gonna happen, and he's texting people while they're frozen. But it's like there's the crawlers, there's the hunters, there's Imogen herself and the elves, and then there is Dewata and her army of little baby mantis nymphs. Chaos ensues. We just get lots of description of chaotic fighting and like minor and major complications developing to all of their objectives, which we're still keeping in mind. The hunters are almost all getting killed by the fall from the second floor. We get vignettes of like all of our named crawlers like fighting upon different fronts. While there's like smoke everywhere, kind of obscuring the view, but we still manage to like get sight of everything going on. Meanwhile, Imogen starts casting red lightning that's basically like a hitting everything and everyone in the area. Like every like 30 seconds or so, which is kind of like creates this feel of a rage mechanic. Like they will all die the longer this goes on. They need to act quickly.
Right.
But they all kind of like divide and conquer. Like Donna and Carl start moving towards Dewata, while basically everyone else heads for Imogen. Which is kind of blows my mind. That they're going for the god, who seems like less of a threat than Imogen at this point. But Donut uses Carl's potion, a potion of like Panwa's tears or something, to like really dramatically level up a spell. Her laundry day spell that I believe she got earlier this floor, which allows her to
She
remove
did.
armor from people, which they were really excited about. And
Yes.
because gods are a form of armor of sponsors, they cast it on Cersei Took to remove the god Dewata from being
Uh-huh.
equipped to her. And she's like, I don't need a god to deal with. And then she's killed by all of her mantis children.
Her flaming, deformed, weird ass mantis babies that she built,
Grandchildren.
grandchildren. And then so Dewata is unequipped basically. She hisses at Carl,
Yeah.
turns her sights on Carl, but because she's been unequipped at this point, like her spell has effectively ended,
And
basically.
Dewata is teleported back to the halls of ascendancy, leaves the
She's
floor.
gone. She's gone. She's off the floor. All that's left is Cersei Took, and Cersei is then devoured by her
Yeah,
own children, which I
it's
feel like is such a
glorious.
fitting, amazing end for such a kind. What a fucking kind.
Uh yeah.
Horrible,
Uh
horrible person.
so one of the things I love about like the Mongo and Kiwi attack Vra and then hell breaks loose. The next time we are referenced to Vra is I jumped over where Vra lay on the floor bleeding out.
Yep,
Mongo and Kiwi had ripped off her limbs. And it's just
she
like,
did.
wow. It's so like almost anticlimactic. Like Raw having been built up when we had the fight before where it like kind of ended in a stalemate almost. Like where neither Carl or Raw were killed. And now it's like Raw was just taken out by their bodyguard velociraptors.
Exactly, because like
It's
in
so
this
good.
fight, Bra was not the biggest threat. The biggest threats were Dewata because he, defiled her temple or whatever accidentally. And
Yeah.
then also fucking Imogen. Like
Yeah.
Bra is like nothing in this fight. Bra, like she like she's a footnote.
Yeah.
Oh God, she's dead. Okay, bye. Like it's just
It's
like
it's
it's not
so
even worth mentioning.
unceremonious
But I
and
love that because
it's so
in
good.
in doing that, it's like, yep, she wasn't even important enough to like mention her passing. Goodbye. Just made it that much better. So like, yeah, so Cersei dead, Vrah dead. We've got some unconscious crawlers on the floor. The Popov brothers are fighting. One of the Popov brothers is wounded mortally during this fight. And one of the things that we see is like, he dies, and they both he and his brother crumple to the floor. That is another footnote. It happens the moment passes, and then like once Dewata and Cersei are dealt with, Donut and Carl regroup and they join the fight with Imogen. But it's like
Yes.
it's already clear at the point when they join the fight with Imogen. It's like at the tail end.
Uh there's
Like she's
actually another kind of quick fight they get before
oh
they rejoin the
oh
fight.
right,
Yeah.
the hunter,
So
yeah,
almost all the hunters are dead. In fact, there is one left. It is Zabit, the
yeah,
guy we just
yeah.
met who was like basically Carl's first interaction with a hunter, but it was sort of indirect. And we kind of like have respect for this guy. He uses the invisibility pack that he redeemed to turn invisible to escape. And Carl goes, "Oh, but I know that you have a bandolier full of traps." And he casts Stripper, and the guy dies.
And then
It's
we get a
brutal.
winner, like
Yep.
as the Wata dies, winner as the hunters die, winner. Like we get these notifications from the AI as like as the four-way cage fight like is sort of
Yeah.
drawing to a close.
Yeah. And it's just all of their planning and preparation and hard work to get the hunters down to these numbers and to just so completely dominate the tactical battlefield with like making all the hunters fall to their deaths, having Tripper available to deal with Zabit, having Laundry Day to deal with the god. It's so beautiful. Like
Ugh,
and powerful, like just how much they dominate, but not against Imogen necessarily.
no.
They all that high elves are dead, and Imogen becomes like the only enemy left. And they fight her, and not without great cost. Gwendolyn, the Native American woman that they met in on the beach of the Gate of the Feral Gods is killed. Clayton, I think one of their bodyguards is killed.
Yeah, no,
Tran.
Clayton was another crawler.
Oh, was he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the one who was singing Wonderwall. He died.
Oh, that's right. Um, Tran loses both of his legs and is like crawling around, like bleeding. It feels very like D-Day, Saving Private Ryan on the
He's trying to
beach.
crawl away.
Yeah, it's like
Carl stops and
horrific.
heals him,
Yeah,
but his legs don't grow back.
yeah.
Um,
Meanwhile, Imogen's spell has been like she's been fighting directly with a bunch of crawlers, but then she's like casting this AoE lightning. Carl
Yes.
passes out as Prepotente arrives on, I think, Bianca's back.
Yes, he's got two potions in his hand, and he
attack.
loses consciousness.
Yeah. And as Carl's fading, Imogen is defeated and their Vengeance of the Daughter quest is completed. And it's just a chapter full of anxious excitement. It's written really fun, really nerve-wracking, and just it's really good.
It was a
pretty
really
fast-paced.
Fantastic chapter, like for action, just incredible.
Yeah.
The epilogue is
most yeah.
good.
The epilogue's great, but we have the last chapter, 77. Donut wakes Carl up, who says out loud, or maybe thinks to himself, like, 5 more minutes. It was peaceful there in the river. It was silent. Interesting. He's still experiencing the river like after everything. And it's probably because he is like experiencing like the loss of these crawlers, Gwendolyn and Clayton and Tran losing his legs. And he just like wants to be away from it. He wants to go back to unconsciousness.
Sleep, he said before, sleep is his only respite, and he mourned the loss of sleep whenever they upgraded their bed.
Yeah. We hear it's written really well. We hear like these voices arguing, and we get these like this evidence that crawlers are arguing and fighting one another, but we don't know exactly who or what over. But it immediately like pulls to mind, I think it was Milk's warning of like like don't loot the treasure.
It was Everly.
Oh, Everly, thank you.
Yeah.
And like there it's happening. It has started. Donut is like seems kind of like shell-shocked out of it, and also like kind of traumatized by what happened. She's like, yeah, Fierce and the Popov brothers died. Brittany's face is badly burned. Someone named Osvaldo. This is when we learn about Osvaldo, the I think Brazilian, with the Gimli hawk. We learn Bianca ate Gimli, and Osvaldo is arguing with Prepotente over Imogen's memorial crystal. And like Prepotente is trying to take it forcefully. We learn that Katya kills Eva, and meanwhile, all the bramble is closing in on everybody. They reflect on how horrific the battle was. Donut has this moment where she's like, why doesn't it hurt as much as it should, having lost all my friends?
Yeah.
And like Carl's mother tried to do for him, he's like, he tries to assure her that everything's going to be okay. And Donut rejects this, like this, kind of like complacent, like not patronizing. What would you call that kind of tactic of like, oh no, it'll be okay.
I would call it placating.
Yeah.
To say like it's like these, like he's murmuring like nothing words to her, basically, like it's going to be okay. But in that moment, he does say to her like, hey, I know it like one day you'll feel this. You might not feel it right now because a lot has happened, but one day you're going to need a place where you're safe and warm and it's quiet. And that wall that you have up right now is going to come down. The mask is going to come off, and you're going to be able to you're gonna mourn the loss of Brandon and Miriam and Faraz and everyone that we've lost, and you'll cry then. You don't have to cry now, but it will come.
Yeah.
Um, and then she says, and then she says,
Her
Carl, you were
response.
right. Her response is like, you were right. That was a lot more like Rambo than Footloose. And then she fucking breaks and she
Yeah.
starts weeping into
She
his neck.
cries.
And he's like, I've never been so relieved to feel another person's pain.
Yeah.
And it's like it's funny and it's sad and it's traumatic and like I mean when we think about it, we talked about it before. Like Donut's only been like up and at 'em for like 44 or 45 days at this point. Maybe
Yeah.
50 days. It's been a couple days since that point, right? She's
Right.
only been like alive and sentient and conscious and like thinking for 55 days. That's 2 months. And already, this is maybe one of the worst days of her life. And it's horrifying. And she breaks. And I think that it's nice, though, like in that moment, because he's like, you'll be safe and you'll be warm and it'll be okay and you can take the mask off. And I think that because she cries in that moment, it's like she's saying, like, I feel safe and warm and
Yes.
comfortable with you,
Yeah.
Carl.
She
And she
she
takes the
is
mask off.
yeah, she's yeah. Carl brings up like the story of the Butcher's Masquerade and how
Yes.
like
That
it's
made me
a
cry.
yeah, it's like we all and he's like we all wear masks to protect ourselves and that's what's going on right now. You are wearing a mask to protect yourself. And it's like it's equivocating to trauma. Like
Yes,
and
absolutely.
pain and suffering is like we try like it is our nature to try and protect our feelings by
Yes.
pushing them down and like it's really great that he goes from the placating move which feels very toxic masculinity, very low emotionally intelligent, which is kind of sometimes how we think of Carl because he doesn't handle his emotions and trauma
I
in the best of ways.
That's
But it's
true.
great to see the growth that he is able to move on from that canned response to like real genuine like no it's
I
it's okay to feel these things and you
Yeah,
will one day it will be okay even if it's not
exactly.
right now it's okay
Yeah.
to not be okay
Yes,
um
exactly. Like
and
he just
and
wants
that
to offer
creates
comfort to
yeah,
her.
and that
Yeah.
creates the space for her to feel what she needs to feel and to
Yes.
process. And like that's her moving through the cycle of processing a trauma and not getting stuck in it, which can lead to PTSD. That's what PTSD is not being able to
Yeah.
move through a traumatic event and getting stuck in it. So like Carl creates the safety for her that
Yeah.
he himself needs himself but won't
Yes.
create for himself, ironically.
How can he?
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but like everybody does need Carl. They do need him. Like at one
Yes.
point in during like just before the heat of the battle, when everything's about to like go off, he is thinking that he's gonna just like pop this whole motherfucker off. He's like thinking of sacrificing himself. He's reaching out to Ellie and Amani and saying like, take care of Donut. She won't understand. Like, take care of her, make sure she's okay. And Ellie's like, the fuck you will, Carl. Like she's like fighting him. Like she's like, we need you. And they do.
Yeah.
They really, really fucking do. They really need Carl. I mean, I hate to say it's like main character syndrome, but like the name of the goddamn series is Dungeon Crawler Carl for the fucking
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I think he needs to know that people do need him and they will miss him, and that like his actions not only have consequences like for himself, but like for everyone around him. He's loved, and I think that that's something that he's not familiar with feeling or addressing or acknowledging. But he is incredibly loved by the people. Like there are
Yeah.
people. This is his family. They're his
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's a big moment. Oh,
Yeah.
so like following this moment though, there's like a thing that was like tickling the back of his mind when Donut's telling him
Yes.
about everyone who's died. And then he gets up, he's holding Donut in his arms, and he starts screaming, Katya, Katya, screaming and screaming. And on his map, on his interface, he sees them and they start pulling bodies off of these two things, these two dots on the map. And then
Mhm.
there in the wreckage are the Popov brothers. Because of the race that they chose, they're nodlings. When one dies, they're resurrected,
Yes.
uh, depending on the number of heads they have. So, like, while they were one body and two heads, they are now separate again. They're
Two
both
fat naked
nodlings,
baby ogres, each about a
two
year old.
fat, naked baby ogres.
Level
And
X
level
nodling
X.
yearling.
Absolutely. And because of this, like because they're babies, babies cannot be in the crawl. So they are boom, zapped out of
Yeah.
there and they're put into kindercare in this and they're saved. They made
They
it out of the
are.
game.
Yeah. This is really powerful because it's been building on like we've met the ogres from
Yes.
Signet's groups. Like we met I think Apollon at the Circus of Grimaldi in book
Yeah.
2. And we've heard about the Pop-Up brothers and their like situation being fused together for a couple books as we've learned like very far away about them. And then we learn more about their situation. We learn more about the Nodlings, and it just pays off really well. But really, what it symbolizes is the big thing, and that is like two crawlers get out of the dungeon.
Yes.
And
They
it's
made
like
it
a
out.
really powerful, beautiful, like, this is our ultimate goal is to get people out of the dungeon and safe from this brutality. Um, yeah, it's a really powerful moment, even though
Fucking beautiful.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Um,
They made it.
Yeah. So one thing that I found very interesting about the Popov brother situation is Carl like says out loud as they find the babies, like, what are we gonna do with these kids? And
Yeah.
Zev chimes in, like, she's been watching, of course. You don't need to do anything, Carl. Watch. Uh, and like this is great because it's like Zev like kind of letting them know like things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yes, here's what's happening mechanically. I'm noting Zev is just openly talking with crawlers about stuff at this point. That shouldn't be allowed.
No, but I think
Which is very
Zev
interesting. Yeah.
Zev's give a shit has been like I think that in terms of things that they could slap her wrist over,
Yeah.
this isn't gonna be one of them.
Right. Right. Um
She did help
yeah.
the Volte take over the government, by the way. So like maybe they'll be lenient. Maybe this is okay.
Yeah. One thing I'm gonna actually call back to the moment Carl woke up and was feeling the river.
Mhm.
Carl at one point says to himself, so like as they're reviewing everyone who died and was injured, he says to himself, so much death, I need to stay distracted.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like really stating something about like again, the river is when
Yeah.
he's feeling like death is near and approaching. And he needs to like keep his mind busy from ruminating on it. When the Pop-Up brothers are saved or liberated from the dungeon, he says to himself, where is it? Where is it? It felt like it felt as if a dark cloud had been removed from me. Despite the horror all around us, despite the death of several of our friends, we were alive. We had survived. We had won, and the hunters had not. We were goddamn alive. So it feels like Carl and everyone like is coming out of that darkness
Yes.
and those dark moments, and we're like moving into our like triumph feeling, even though there were losses and it was very heavy and brutal. They made it through, and we get to celebrate here. And then that is compounded on by a notification appearing. A little mark appeared over Donut's head, a spinning star. Co-warlord, the princess posse. They
Yeah.
made it, I said. A new tab is available in your interface. Congratulations. You have successfully fielded your troops. You've been assigned Spot 3 and inherited all no mercenaries left behind by the burrowers. And this is when it snaps into what everything it was going on with the money and the princess posse and
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 Quasar
Quasar.
and yeah,
They
absolutely.
are now officially faction war leaders.
The sledge, all the NPCs that got transferred down to the ninth floor. This is all like, it's all coming to a head. It's the reason why he was so pissed off to see Princess Donatia, who was like,
Yes.
who said to Signet while she was talking to her, "Oh, it's a shame he's about to die. I was really looking forward to meeting him in battle during faction wars." And he's like, "You fucking bitch." So, like, yeah, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
There's
very excited about this.
it's oh, it feels so good. There's like a page of notifications related to being warlords and faction leaders and everything. There's a brief reminder that Donut is a part of the succession line for another team, the Blood Sultanate. There's a bunch of action items that they have to deal with and vote on, including one that they have fielded: remove safety protections for faction sponsors. But before we get to what that is, Carl addresses the faction leaders themselves. He looks into he always like looks at the ceiling when he's trying to address the audience watching the crawl.
The universe at
Yeah.
large.
He says, "You see that?" I said, looking straight up into the air. I held my arms out. "The hunters are dead. Our troops have arrived. We're still here. We have 2 floors to get through, and then we're coming for you." And
Fuck
then
yeah.
instead of Carl monologuing, it's like back and forth with Donut, like them, being quippy
Riffing
with
off
one
each
another,
other, yeah.
which is really, really feels really good. And he just starts like taunting the factions. He calls on the audience, informing them like, "Yeah, we're a faction war now. We have submitted this action item to turn off the safety protocols for all the faction sponsors on the 9th floor. It's not fair that all these rich faction sponsors are cowards and are like making the hunters do all their dirty work. People like you, making them risk their lives to play their stupid games while they get to be safe. It's not fair."
Exactly. Everyone can fight, and we're the only ones who die.
Yeah,
How is that
we
fair?
are risking our lives. The hunters were risking their lives. Why aren't they? And then he and then he drops a little knowledge bomb and he goes, "Oh, by the way, 3 of you, three systems, 3 of the factions, you all have governments who you can vote on what they have to, like, what they do, their actions. Like, you are putting the bill.
Protections off.
Yeah, you can literally vote and they will be required to then follow through if you vote that they should approve this action item." Zev, like, meanwhile is warning them, like, don't, like, why are you doing this? And Carl texts her back, "That's no way to talk to your newest sponsor. Isn't shit talking part of the deal?" And he like, I don't think Zev is upset by this. I think Zev is just doing her job, and he's just like, it feels so good for him to be like, "Is that any way to address a sponsor?" It feels very like, we are on equal footing with these people now. You have to treat me the same way you would treat them. And I've like narrowed the gap in, power and authority that the legal system provides them, and doesn't provide me. It feels very, very triumphant.
It was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Their feed gets cut off. Ren Gore is here and is like, "What's going on?" And Donut, of course, condescendingly explains to Ren like what's going on, and then that's interrupted by something new over Gore's head, which is "Pet Show Champion Best in Show" for Garrett the Tummy Acher, and Donut just loses her mind. It's very funny. So the Popov brothers being liberated is basically a lead into Carl now stating his new goal, which is, it was kill every hunter. Check. Now it's, our new goal is to get as many people to the 10th floor as possible to get them out of the dungeon. We know that once people reach the 10th floor, they start getting offered options to escape the dungeon by entering into, servitude, basically. And so, sub item under that goal is get as many people through the 9th floor as possible the faction war, and all of this work has been to give all the crawlers the best chance possible, but also, to help Donut, in order to get Donut to survive with, the Blood Sultanate, they need tools as much as possible and resources to deal with them. And this is their best shot at both of those goals. Um, there's a quest update with Emberus about like surrounding the memorial crystal that Osvaldo and Prepotente were fighting over. We are reminded that Prepotente is a part of their party now. Prepotente shows up and explains to, I think, Katya, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in their party. It's simply because I need Donut's assistance. Carl is not necessary, but she insists on keeping him with her. Apparently he's been with her family for a long time," talking about him like he's the pet in the family. Carl responds, "Eat a bag of dicks, pony." And then Prepotente screams in his face, of course. And that is how the book ends, technically. Sans epilogue. It feels really good, really funny. It's like a huge breath of relief at the end of a really, really stressful novel, and especially like part 4 is really, really stressful. But they made it through, and things are looking good. Yeah.
Petition to pick up with the epilogue at the beginning of the next. We'll call it book 6, part 1.
Which
My headphones are dying.
Oh no!
So there's
Yes.
I know, and I only have one. I've only have one set of headphones because there's like epilogue part 1 and epilogue part 2. But
Yes.
both of them, I think, lead seamlessly into book 6, and the troubles that we will see in that book.
Yes.
So maybe we can spend a very brief amount of time on them.
Can we do the first part and we'll leave the second part?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Yeah. So, part 1 of the epilogue, they arrive on the 7th floor. There is, ironically, a ton of notifications about what's going on with the 7th floor. Donut chooses her class. Prepotente immediately leaves their party, even though they arrived together, and that's all he needed was to arrive together with them.
Yes.
We learn Prepotente starts pulling out the little stick and the little hammer, which is called
given to Donut.
Yes, the enchanted stick of
Cascadia
Screams, which Carl finally asks who is Cascadia. Prepotente's like, why, it's the woman who makes the announcements, of course. Right as Cascadia starts giving the announcement, explaining the floor and all the mechanics. And it's all really funny because we have like 3 pages of like explaining the floor. And then she suddenly starts screaming or starts addressing Prepotente instead of giving the update.
God damn it. Yeah.
And she's like, no, please. She starts begging him to stop what he's doing while he is monologuing about his mother, reminding us that he is out for revenge. And then
she played piano for him, and she would sing to him, and she let him into the house. Only him. He was her special boy.
Yeah.
And he'll never get that back. And I have such a soft spot for Prepotente. God,
yeah. Another unhinged child who just wants his mama back.
Hell yeah.
And it turns out that the mysterious items from their sponsors, the stick and the hammer, which like their descriptions were extremely vague, apparently what they can do on this floor that is entirely made of glass, like a bunch of Prince Rupert's drops in a weird, like kind of like toboggan sled tunnel maze system.
Yes.
All he does is he just gently taps the wall with the stick and hammer, and everything begins to crack as Cascadia screams. The floor shatters. Hey,
breaks the whole.
He breaks the entire floor. They all go. Every single crawler goes flying into stairwells, and proceeds to the 8th floor. Hey, remember how Carl said they only had 2 more floors to go through until Faction Wars?
One more floor.
One more floor. Which is great because the flooding of Laracos is still happening and is still a huge advantage they have. So the faster they can all move through, the better. And this is just incredible. Yeah, there is one more scene in the epilogue which is extremely dark. And even though this is the book 5 review, I think it does feel good to save this big reveal. It's really dark and I have a lot to say about it.
Me too.
But we'll
Yeah,
wait
there's yeah.
because we've
Because I have
spent a lot
shitty
of time this
headphones.
episode and shitty headphones. So, yeah, this entire section, really great action, written very well, very very well scaffolded, I think, for the reader to have what they need in the moment.
My favorite. It's my
Yeah,
favorite book of the series. It like
while yeah,
so much growth happens in this. I mean, not to mention the action, but like really like their character growth and like their honesty with one another.
yeah,
And like it's it's brutal and it's passionate and it's beautiful.
it
So
is. It
yeah, it's
really
my
is.
favorite book
And
of the
it
whole series.
and it feels like it is emotionally really setting us up, like bit by bit. Each one of these books is just getting darker and darker and darker in
Yeah.
terms of like the shit they have to
Yes.
survive and get through, and things they like, decisions they have to make.
Yes.
And it feels really good. Get ready for faction
I,
wars is basically what this book is
fuck
saying.
yes. So
And especially this part of the book. So
oh god, I can't wait. So
all right.
yeah.
Next week, we will be reviewing part 1 of book 6, Eye of the Bedlam Bride. We'll be doing just part
Oh my
1,
gosh.
Havana. And
Perfect.
then after that, we will be back in 2 weeks, because of holiday stuff, I think, and vacations. So,
Vacation,
I will
vacation.
leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of the book and of our episode and review. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.